Today on Doomed, we are back once again live on YouTube. Welcome to Doomed with Matt Binder, everybody. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast version of this show, we're not live, but we're back on the regular new rotation, not pre-recorded or old clips or calls or any of that fun stuff I had prepared for you on my rare 2-week off, but not consecutive, 2 weeks off during this summer. I've never done that before. And of course, I take, let me pull us up on the stream here first, because I got a great guest with me today who I'm very looking forward to talk to. And let me introduce her first, then I'll get to all my woes and complaints and how things work out for me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am excited today to be streaming with TYT contributor and Twitch streamer Rayyvana, aka Ray. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing really well. Oh, I could hear myself.
You can hear yourself. Well, I hope
Yes.
I hope that's not going to be
Through your audio, I think.
Oh, that's weird. That doesn't usually happen. All right, I'll change the settings to the regular one. And then when I play that audio that I had changed the settings for, I'll just have to reconfigure it. Hold on one second.
I'm sorry, I came in and I immediately started rearranging things on your stream.
That's okay. How's that now?
I can't hear myself anymore. But yes, thank you so much for having me on today. This is actually my second time talking to you on your show. The first time I called in like 2 years ago to talk to you about one white nationalist, Nick Fuentes, who my roommate actually grew up with.
I remember that. And, you know, I tend to not, I mean, obviously, yes, this is your second time on the show, but I tend to not count call-ins as official appearances. So second appearance, first time invited.
Yes. I just inserted myself in the first time.
Right. No, but I'm glad you did, because that was an amazing, I mean, I feel like almost we should jump right into that all over again.
Yeah.
But people should just go back and find it. I'm pretty sure I included it in the like description of that episode because it was so crazy. And as I was saying in the beginning, actually, I took a rare 2 weeks off this year. Not consecutive. I thought that would make things easier to not get so lost and left behind in the news. And what happened was, on like the first weekday of the week I took off, the first week I took off in August, Trump got searched in Mar-a-Lago by the FBI and raided, quote unquote, and stuff was taken out of his documents, classified documents were taken out of his abode there. Oh, what a great week to take off. But I'm back the next week, and I'm like, okay, if anything happens, the follow-up stuff's going to happen now, and I'm here for it. Well, nothing happens that week, so, okay. And then I take off this past week, and Biden announces the big student loan forgiveness, and then more news breaks with Trump, and apparently there's some, I was reading that there's some, like, there's been, like, this past like year or so or something like that, all of a sudden, like undercover spies or intelligence or whatever, more of them than ever before were getting uncovered or killed, and like it's being connected to like, did this have anything to do with Trump? And I'm like, what am I missing? Why am I not on home? Why am I here in Disney World? Why did I go?
No.
Yes, I took my kids. Well, actually, the grandparents wanted to treat the grandkids, and we got lucky, and we were invited too. The parents were invited too. But yeah, I'm back here now to catch up on all this news, and I'm so happy for you to join to help me catch up.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So if you were to pick, like, you were not off last week, correct? Because that would be something, wouldn't it?
No, I went back to school, but I still did a couple streams last week.
So if you were to pick, like, and this is, I know I messaged you, and no pressure if you didn't think of anything, but like one standout thing that happened over this past week, what would you say it is?
I think it was last week. Perhaps it was the week before, but Andrew Tate was banned from pretty much every platform. And I've been following that story really closely because, as a Twitch streamer and as a woman, yeah, it had a huge impact on me because I immediately, when he gained popularity, started noticing, an increase in misogynistic attacks against me. And then when he got banned, all of a sudden there was all these people who usually would ostensibly be on the left who were saying, oh no, I don't think we should ban him. We need to debate him on his ideas, which is like, his ideas are what? Laundering money for the Romanian mafia, sex trafficking women for his webcam site. Like, what are his ideas? That women cannot drive cars? What are the ideas we should be engaging in? But yeah, so that was like the big news story that I had been following.
Right. I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up, because out of all the things that happened this past, and that was last week, because I had missed it and I had seen it in passing, like when I tried to stay offline, tried to actually just say, you know what, I gotta just clear my mind. And still, that last Tuesday, the 23rd, which was also my birthday, August 23rd.
Happy belated.
Thank you. August 23rd, I couldn't help it because it was primary day. So even though I tried to stay off, I had to check to see how the races went. And that was the same day, I believe, that Andrew Tate was banned from a number of platforms, like pretty much all of them. And the funny thing is that's probably the most doomed-esque story that happened, something I would cover on this show, because we usually cover reactionary groups, movements, the right, right-wing conspiracy theories, things like that. And somehow, even though that's the most in line with this show, I had totally forgot about it on my list of things to talk about. So I'm so happy you brought it up. So people who don't know, I mean, you already gave a little bit of an overview, but like for people who don't know, who is Andrew Tate? Like, what is his deal? How did he get big? Whatever you know off the top of your head. I know, you're not coming in after having read like the official Andrew Tate biography, but you are familiar with him and his stuff. So who is he?
Oh, to be fair, I actually wrote the official Andrew Tate biography. It'll be coming out soon.
I'm looking forward to reading it.
That book's how I'm actually gonna pay off my student loans.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Very good.
But yeah, so Andrew Tate started off. He is and I need to specify half British, because he has the dumbest accent I've ever heard in my life, which is just like, for no reason whatsoever, slipping between American and British accents for the most. Like everyone jokes about the way he says Bugatti. Every other word will sound like American English, but then he'll say Bugatti for no fucking reason. But so he started out as a professional and when I say professional, I mean D-League's professional kickboxer. And then he was very, very briefly on the UK's version of Big Brother, and got kicked off after a video of him hitting a woman with a belt was surfaced. And then he sort of just became like an influencer. So him and his brother own casinos all over Eastern Europe, mostly in Romania, is my understanding. He moved to Romania, which he explicitly says is because they have more lax rape laws. Him and his brother run a web. Yeah. No, he's not even hiding that information. But him and his brother own like a webcam site, and I can't imagine he has an attorney working for him, because he posted on the website that almost all of his cam girls had never done sex work before and were his girlfriends before they were his cam girls, which is, I mean, you might as well just say, I'm sex trafficking women on your website. But throughout this entire time, like, his image is like really important for him. So he's been trying to do like manosphere influencing stuff. And he was raided in April by the Romanian police in connection with a alleged, I'm saying that to cover all my bases because nothing is confirmed, but kidnapping of one Romanian, one American woman in his compound. And then I'm assuming he went on this massive, PR campaign to rehabilitate his image, which, because he is such a terrible person, all I mean, he did become a lot more popular after that when he started going on all these Twitch streams. But I mean, I don't think it helped his image because he started going on all these podcasts, started going on the biggest Twitch streamers on the platforms, their streams, to talk about his ideas, which are primarily that women should be subservient to men, that if a woman is dating a man and she does OnlyFans, that all of the revenue she generates from that should go to the man, because she's his property. And then he started Hustlers University, which is a MLM. It's just an MLM where he pays people to post clips of him, and to, make his image better, to boost his popularity. And then they get affiliate codes, so they have to sign other people. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's amazing because, like, I had thought that specific type of guy, in terms of like their place in a sort of right wing reactionary movement, like obviously those type of men exist, but the specific like men's rights activist or MGTOW, the men going their own way, like I was so engrossed in that world in the early 2010s. Like that's sort of how I would say a lot of people who still watch me today became familiar with me as someone who covered those groups, because I sort of was early on seeing where it was headed, and that is becoming like straight up like MAGA fascist whatever. I had thought that type of guy no longer really existed. Like the closest we had to that were incels in terms of like just sheer hatred towards women.
Yeah.
But like, the old school, like their number one deal is like they're fighting for men's rights is basically fighting against alimony and child support and things like that. I thought that type of guy as like an ideology was passe. And then Andrew Tate comes out, and I'm hearing this stuff, and this is like, holy shit, this is like what I was hearing from like Sargon of Akkad in early 2010s, from Paul Elam of A Voice for Men in the early 2010s. Like
because
all
men
those...
didn't have a voice before.
Yes, right. And also, if you were a man searching for a voice, I don't know if Paul Elam should have been your voice. I don't know if anyone's even still familiar with him. Talk about someone who's dropped off the face of the planet. But I mean, so he comes. I'm seeing him come out, and he's getting really big. And I'm like, what is making him stand out compared to these other guys? Is it like the MMA background? Is it the sex trafficking? That might be a new attribute that these guys didn't have before. Attribute, I should say. Excuse me for mangling that word. But maybe it is actually the MLM thing, like really the perfect time for that, when all these people are getting wrapped up in the ultimate Ponzi scheme, cryptocurrency. Like MLMs were totally having their moment, crypto or not. I mean, it seemed like you combine angry young men who are looking for a scapegoat with an MMA bro who's going to provide them a scapegoat, and do so in the form of a multi-level marketing scheme. It's just like boom, boom, boom. You've hit the jackpot there. There's your your new big star.
Yeah. Interestingly, he is the big star in what I think quite a few creators have been sort of, blowing the whistle on, this growing manosphere on YouTube, on Twitch. So I'd say that he's similar to the Fresh and Fit podcast. I don't know if you're familiar. They're two guys who absolutely hate women, who have been completely bodied by women debating them, and their only response is to ban them from their stream. But yeah, like there is this sort of resurgence of that, and Gamergate never went away. Right. It only got a little bit quiet, but sort of that resurgence of that men's rights movement, that loud part of Gamergate, culminating essentially in an opportunity for Andrew Tate to become very popular. But it's not by accident, right? Of course, it's helped by the fact that he's extraordinarily rich, because, I mean, unconfirmed, but pretty I'm going to be careful with my wording. A lot of people have this impression that he's laundering money from the Romanian mafia through his casinos and other mafias in Eastern Europe. People close to him have confirmed this, so it's not. I can't check that. I'm not a journalist, but many people are saying that he does this. And so he was able to hire, PR firms to
Many people
promote
are
him.
saying. Trumpvana says that many people are saying.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, the MLM is really helpful because you're literally paying people to post your clips, and then.
So what is the? Because I gotta say, I feel like ashamed that I missed the Andrew Tate, ascension, because again, that totally was my beat, and I dropped the ball. What was the MLM? Like, what was he providing, and like for what costs? Like, what was the whole deal here? Like, what were people paying him? What were they getting out of it?
So Hustlers University was supposed to be like a pickup artist sort of situation, right? So like you pay $40 a month or something, and you get these secret tips, access to his secret Discord, on how to pick up women. But really, all it was you get an affiliate code. Post clips of Andrew Tate, primarily TikTok, because his audience was mostly middle school aged boys.
Hold on, can you just say this a little bit slower? I got to take notes here.
Binder University launching soon.
Right? Yes. Be you.
But yeah, so he was having them post his clips to TikTok with the affiliate code to join Hustlers University. They got bonuses for however many people they signed through their affiliate code. And so then they were incentivized to become popular on TikTok through posting his clips to sign new people to the program. And some of the big creators, I can't imagine why on God's green earth these people who are already millionaires for doing this would sign up for his program. And even some of the big creators said they lost money doing it. On Twitch specifically. So like,
wait, how would you lose money doing this? Like, what is
someone with a massive platform should have no trouble posting an affiliate code and getting people to sign up. We see that all the time with these crypto gambling scams and the like rug pull crypto scam coins or whatever the people are doing.
But like when people do that, what's his face? That really annoying kid who always does all these gambling sites. I forgot his name. He's really big on Twitch. You probably know.
Aiden Ross?
Thank you. Like,
yeah, Aiden Ross is one of the first people to platform Andrew Tate, actually.
Right. No surprise there. But Aiden Ross, like, basically what usually happens with these big creators is these companies come to them and basically pay them to promote their product. Like, they give Aiden Ross lots of money to play their gambling website live on his stream. I mean, there's no way for him to lose money.
Yeah.
But how would you lose money? Like from what you explained, it sounds like just like an affiliate code thing, which a lot of affiliate marketing, which like a lot of people do. You basically just get a platform that actually sells the product or service, and in return they give you a percentage of the sale that comes in. Like tons of e-commerce websites do that sort of thing. But how did it work with Andrew Tate? Because it sounds like it's a bit different. There was money involved in becoming an affiliate.
Yeah, so you pay $40 to get in. I think it might have been a higher. So I also want to say Hustlers University shut down because the money processing site that they were using refused to host him anymore. So he can't. There's no way for him to get his money. So it had to shut down because of that. But like it was like tiers to it. I didn't sign up, so that's just like the extent of my knowledge. There was tiers to it. Like,
wait,
and
you didn't sign up?
Actually, really funny. So Aiden Ross had Andrew Tate back on his stream afterwards to like just sob about being banned, and it was really pathetic. But Aiden Ross suggested that as reparations for his crimes, Andrew Tate should start a Hustlers University for women. So I'm actually waiting for that to drop before I sign up.
Oh my
so
God.
Such an embarrassing peace offering to the women who are offended by a man who thinks that we are property.
That is an amazing thought process. Listen, Andrew Tate, I know you hate women, and they all hate you for how you've basically taught an entire generation of young men to treat them. So, as reparations, you should extort money from those same women. What?
With tips on how to pick up women, is because that's what Hustlers University is. I can't imagine it's tips on how to pick up men. How would he know how to do that? I mean, and if he does, that's his prerogative. But from my understanding, he should not be knowledgeable about that. Although Aiden Ross is, a bit of a troll, and he'll flirt with Andrew Tate on stream to push boundaries to mess with him. And Andrew Tate has been shockingly receptive to it. So maybe he does have some knowledge. I don't know. If he wants to open Hustlers University on how to pick up men, I'll have to see what he knows.
I'll be on the lookout for that affiliate code.
Yeah, but so I think there was another tier. If you post your affiliate code along with clips of him, then you have a chance to generate revenue based on how many people sign up, not a percentage of the people who sign up, was my understanding. Which is, I saw some researcher post about how many times an MLM can, how many layers an MLM can go before you go to every single person in the world, and it's only 12. So, there's only so many people, and his market is not huge, right? Because his audience is primarily 12, 13-year-old boys who don't necessarily have $40 or a credit card number they can enter into, to join this scheme.
If you're going to do an MLM, you have to think of the most broad audience you can think of. If you're going to want to keep that going, Herbalife.
Madeline Albright.
Everyone drinks nutritional shakes or whatever the hell they make there. I can't remember. Or whatchamacallit, LuLaRoe, basically 50% of the world's population right there are women who can wear leggings. So there's another big audience. But if you're trying to do an MLM specifically for angry young men who hate women, well, I'm thinking about it. That's actually probably, unfortunately, a pretty big audience. But not big enough, like you said, who have $50 a month or whatever it is to spend, right? If you're an angry young man who can't pick up women, you probably don't have a lot of money to spend to specifically spend on trying to learn how to pick up women.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, he then groveled in. So there's a really funny clip that the H3H3 podcast has really reveled in playing since he was banned, where he says, "What are you gonna do? Ban me? I don't even have an account. Cancel me. Ban me. I don't care." And then immediately after he got banned, he was sobbing and crying, no, please, Tucker Carlson, please scrub my image for me on your show.
Did he reach out to Tucker Carlson?
He went on Tucker Carson's daytime talk show.
So the Fox Nation Tucker Carlson. The Tucker Carlson.
He didn't even get the primetime spot.
Yeah, no one watches that unless they're clipping it for Twitter to make fun of.
Yeah, it's only Media Matters folks are watching that.
Right. Right. Damn, I gotta go to Media Matters right now actually and pull some clips because that's hilarious. So, where did he get banned from?
He got banned from first Facebook, then YouTube. He never got banned from Twitch, but only because he deleted his account. And Instagram along with Facebook, because it's all Meta or whatever. And
Which one?
TikTok,
Which one banned him first? Like which? Because usually how it goes with these
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay, because usually
Yeah.
how it goes with these really big reactionary right wing influencers is one platform steps up and says after way past they show, well, not giving them credit specifically. I'm just saying after a while, one decides to step up and go, all right, enough's enough. This guy's got to go. And
Yeah.
then the rest basically go, oh shit, someone pulled the trigger. Now we're going to look like idiots for keeping him on. We got to also pull that trigger
Yeah.
as well.
And he had already been banned from Twitter from some previous infraction years ago. But there are some really fucked up tweets of him from like 20. So he became very mildly popular in 2018 for posting a picture of him next to his Bugatti. And he was like, while you watch your Star Wars movie, I was buying a Bugatti. No one who wastes time watching Star Wars could ever own this car. And it was just like a big meme. And then he told some guy who was raising money for his like sick child that like he was like, get on your knees and grovel for me and I might save your child. So he like, I don't know if that was related to why he got banned from Twitter. I hope it is. It's just so fucked up that it's hilarious. But like, yeah, so he was banned from Twitter first. But really quickly, my roommate locked herself out of the apartment. So I'm going to quickly go open the door if that's
cool. Yes, please go do that. We don't want to lock roommates out of the apartment for this show. But yeah, the Andrew Tate thing, I'm going to just talk to the people listening right now, and then I'll catch up, Rayyvana, if I stumble upon anything truly enlightening. But yeah, the Andrew Tate getting banned from these social media platforms was really interesting. Again, I didn't catch it when it happened, but as I was catching up over the course of the past few days, I was reading about it, and I was trying to determine like where did this audience come from? Like where like which one of these platforms banning him dealt him the biggest and most serious blow? And someone in the chat goes Bugatti. I was just saying, Rayyvana, someone in the chat made me laugh because they spelt out the way he pronounces Bugatti. Bugatti. So what I was saying was, and I was trying to like think like which social media platform banning him hit him the hardest, and I gotta say it had to have been TikTok, right? Unless you have a different opinion on that.
Well, interestingly, he himself didn't have a TikTok account because he would pay these young boys or whatever to post his clips. So he didn't need one. But banning him sort of prevents them from posting his content, which I think would hit him the hardest. But Instagram, he had a verified account on. So I think that banning his only official verified account really hurt him. But also banning him on TikTok, of course, carries with it like the weight of his content is going to be scrubbed from the platform no matter who's posting it, which I wish Twitch would ban him. I know he deleted his account, but they should ban him because he can still go on other people's streams until they ban him officially. But once they ban him, anyone who brings him on stream will also get banned. So
wait, hold on. So Andrew Tate is banned from TikTok, like not just his account, like you can't post Andrew Tate content?
Yeah, they can scrub the content of him now because his account is banned.
That's interesting.
Even if it's not posted by him, which they usually do just by going through the hashtags. So of course they can't get all of it, but like because of the typical same things that everyone will post as a hashtag for an Andrew Tate clip, they can get quite a bit of it.
How about on YouTube?
YouTube, he's banned. I don't know how their system works, though. I don't think it's like Twitch.
Yeah, I don't think it is either because, what's his face? Alex Jones has shown up on other people's shows as a guest. Yeah, like he's shown up on Rogan and such,
oh, yeah, true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have assumed that. I think you're spot on. If it was if his biggest official account was on Instagram, but I would assume that the vast majority of his audience, especially based on the demographic, I assumed it was TikTok.
Yeah, that's definitely where most of his Hustler University people were coming from. Yeah, but
And there's that whole finance area and like hustle and like entrepreneur area of TikTok, like
yeah,
that.
the grind culture people.
Yeah, it's so I hate that so much.
It's so
So
gross.
bizarre. Yeah, it is so fucking ridiculous. Did Andrew Tate have a LinkedIn account? Do we know that?
That would be wild. I hope he does.
Right. Yes. I would love to see his version of like the viral LinkedIn posts. Like
It's great because most viral LinkedIn posts are like, "Is slave labor okay?" Heart react for yes,
yeah.
thumbs down for no. His would be like, "Is sex trafficking okay?"
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh my god. So what is he up to now? Does he have any backup plan? What has he popped up anywhere, or has he basically been, other than Tucker Carlson, out of the spotlight?
I think it's difficult for. I'm surprised even. I mean, I am a little bit surprised, honestly, that Tucker Carlson platformed him just because he does have these pretty credible accusations against him. I mean, and not just in that case, like, there's a video of him hitting a woman with a belt. That's the reason he got kicked off of Big Brother. His like mob ties are pretty, even by other right wing people. Like someone connected with what's his name, Watson, British guy, Alex Jones's lackey. I can't remember him, but like even he sort of corroborated that he was like laundering money. He's just sort of a figure that it's difficult for mainstream right-wing media to embrace because, he said that he moved to Romania to rape women. I like it's really hard to put that guy on your evening news show. But other than that, it's just these Twitch streamers like Aiden Ross who are platforming him still. But yeah, he's definitely taken a hit, at least financially, because of the shutdown of Hustlers University. And people are not being constantly redirected to his content on these platforms. So he's just sort of been like pathetic lately, like trying to like say that he's a victim of cancel culture. But yeah, like Tucker Carlson is the only mainstream sort of like media that I can think of, or even like right-wing media that has put him in a positive light since he was canceled, but banned from these social media sites.
Yeah, I wonder what because usually these guys never actually just go away. They'll find it's like what what's his name, Dr. Malcolm in Jurassic Park says, life finds a way. It's like whenever these guys get banned from somewhere, they still find a way. They never just disappear. I would say the closest we got to completely never hearing about someone again, or at least them becoming so diminished that they no longer had any sort of power they once had, would be like Milo Yiannopoulos, who like
Yes.
completely, man, what a fall that guy took. Like,
He is an intern for Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's embarrassing.
yeah,
I did a congressional internship the year after I graduated undergrad, and I felt like I was too old to be there. Sir, you are almost 40 doing this congressional internship.
I mean,
you used to have millions of followers.
I mean, high school Matt Binder was like, internships in general so degrading. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, work for free? No, thank you. Man, yeah. So I guess he could either go the Alex Jones route and somehow become more successful than ever before, or he could end up like Milo. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully like Milo. I think that's been like the strongest argument against the people who are like, oh, you shouldn't deplatform. Deplatforming only makes him more popular. Milo Yiannopoulos has tried and tried again to grift his way back into popularity and fame, and it hasn't worked because he can't platform himself. There's no way for him to do that. And other people can't platform him generally because of his bans. He fell off, and he fell off hard. And I think that's a really good thing to point out in response to the people who are like, oh, you're only boosting his popularity. And also the people who are saying that are generally above the age demographic that was being recommended Andrew Tate, so they don't fully understand the stranglehold he had on 13 and 14-year-old boys.
I don't like I honestly don't see it. Like I don't know. I don't understand what the allure is. Like I get like listen, I get like why right-wing people were won over by people like Alex Jones and Milo Yiannopoulos back in his prime at least. Like the idea of um for Alex Jones, obviously, it's someone who's, breaking the walls and telling it out news that no one else will cover. And then for Milo, it was like, oh, a gay that's on our side. We're gonna, of course, put him on a pedestal. And all these other guys, I get what their appeal is to their specific audience.
Yeah.
Like I don't get I don't see what it is about Andrew Tate or even like Aiden Ross. I don't get it. They're not
Yeah.
charismatic. Like that's another thing. Like Alex Jones, again, I've said this before. He's a total piece of shit, but you can see where the guy had talent and how he could have still been successful if he used that broadcasting talent he has for literally anything else than the evil that he decided to use it for. Like
Mhm.
the guy could have been a sports broadcaster, a professional wrestling manager, or commentator. He could have done so many things with that broadcasting voice. But like I've watched Aiden Ross stream because when I did a report last year on all these influencers hawking crypto bullshit,
Yeah.
like these guys are just like not even like talented streamers. They're just boring, narcissistic, like a-holes that really don't have any like they're not charismatic at all. Like
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
So with Andrew Tate, I think a huge portion of it was just being massively promoted by TikTok algorithm to this young age demographic. And I worked with kids for a long time. I was a teacher in a school for kids with behavioral disabilities, and I ran summer camps for a little bit. And I specifically worked with like that age group of boys. And anyone who they think is cool, they will emulate, because 13 and 14-year-old boys want nothing more in the world than to not be bullied at school, to fit in, or to be popular by and large. So like they are constantly being promoted on the algorithm because there's just so many fucking videos of him. Andrew Tate, they think, okay, that's a guy I should act like. So that, which is usually my response to, there's some people who are like, oh, Andrew Tate is just because we don't take men's issues seriously enough, which is like ridiculous to me, because the age demographic of people who are watching his videos are not people who are deeply concerned with men's issues, right? Their 13-year-olds are not like they don't care about divorce court. They're not being radicalized by divorce court or alimony.
Was he talking about that stuff too? Because like I know I brought that up as like that's traditionally what the men's rights activists would focus on back when I was covering them. But like from what I understood of Andrew Tate, it was literally just about like women, dating women, picking up women, having sex with women. Like it was that simple. Like
It's
did he
just
get into
PUA stuff. It's just alpha male stuff. It's not like,
but like,
oh, men are being ignored because of their emotion. Their emotions are not being catered to, right? Men are not receiving mental health care treatment. In fact, he's against all that. He called Aiden Ross a bitch for not drinking sparkling water and for like not being physically fit enough. Like this is someone who stands against what people are presenting as men's issues today.
He's not even that big of a guy though. Like listen, I'm not saying that as someone who's like, I mean, I know I got guns here. But listen, I'm not saying that as myself, but like if young men are looking for like the quintessential perfect masculine male to look up to, there's They're like a dime a dozen. I'm a pro wrestling fan. I see them and these guys are charismatic too. They could talk. They got a personality. Why not look up to them if you're just looking for like the strong jawed meme male guy? Like there's so many other guys to look. I mean, even fucking Brock Lesnar, who I know a lot of people think he's like an asshole. Like the dude at least is charismatic and he fucking looks like a real life Incredible Hulk. Like why not look up to him at least? Like why are you looking up to Andrew Tate?
I mean, for fuck's sake, even the two brothers that are terrible people and hawk scam coins all the time and do boxing and MMA now.
Jake Paul and
Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Logan Paul,
even they are in better shape than Andrew Tate. And I actually got sort of reamed out on Twitter a little bit a couple weeks ago for comparing Andrew Tate to Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie, because it's all neck and no chin, all the mouth to just straight down. There's no chin. And like, that's a trait that he tells men that they will be valued less for and that they should be concerned about. And it's something that he's lacking. So I'm just like pointing out that he does not fit the stereotypical image of masculinity that he tells other men.
Just want to point out this strong, this strong jaw here. It's covered by the beard, but Andrew Tate. If anyone's looking for a new Hustler University, patreon.com/Matt Binder. I got a better jaw.
You gotta start posting videos to TikTok.
Right. I that's the platform I dropped the ball on. I really need to get on there so I can I mean, it's funny too that like I was about to say this as a joke, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's funny too that like for these like types of people, I'm sure a lot of them think this way. LGBTQ people on TikTok basically saying, we will accept you and it's okay to be gay to young people on that platform. That's grooming. Andrew Tate literally descending upon these young men, preying upon these young, I'm sure many of them teen boys, to teach them to hate women. That of course is not grooming. That's just boys will be boys, being a man.
And he is explicitly condemned what he calls like grooming from the LGBTQ community. And it's like, he's like, they're imposing their beliefs on young people. It's like, then motherfucker, what are you doing? What is your job if not to groom young men into having your ideology? It's absurd, but I'm so grateful that he was banned. I have noticed even just since last week when he got banned, a massive difference between the amount of misogynistic attacks I've been getting in my chat on Twitch, because he got popular. People were coming to my chat saying like things to me like, oh, you shouldn't drive. Someone was like, oh, thank God you're not driving right now. I was like, yeah, I shouldn't stream while driving. That'd be an insane thing to do. Oh, that would be crazy.
This was the thing with Hassan. I'd seen this.
Yeah.
Hassan debated him, and was the debate supposed to simply be on should women drive? Because that would have been one. Was that what the topic was going in, or did they just fall upon this?
It was what it was going in, because on Aiden Ross's stream, Andrew Tate said that women are worse drivers. And so Hassan was like, with, the knowledge of a basic human being who knows that insurance prices are higher for men than they are for women because men get in more accidents, went in and like had that information, which is actually...
excuse me, Rayyvana. It's because men have more money, so we can subsidize the women's insurance.
Yeah, please, for all of the accidents that the women are getting. But yeah, so I saw it on there to put him in his place, and he did a really good job. And Andrew Tate looked like a bitch in that debate. He kicked Hassan off because he was so embarrassed and it was really just like Hassan being condescending to him. Like he never engages with people who are smarter than him or people who hold positions different than him. So he couldn't handle it, and he kicked him off the call.
Like kudos to Hassan for doing it, obviously, but what like a weird thing to debate. Like what a weird, like literally like debating which fictional movie sequel is better in a trilogy or something is a more riveting debate than that topic. Like, I don't even know what this. I mean, I would have done it too, just like Hassan, because it just seems like the easiest slam dunk in the world, and I'm sure Hassan did great. Like not to play down what Hassan did. I'm sure he had a lot of fun with it and really owning Andrew Tate. But like how do you prepare for that? Literally, just like wake up and do nothing different, and then walk right into the debate.
I mean, pretty much, right? Like you're going into someone who has severe CTE from being a professional guy, punching bag, right? Just his job was to get kicked in the head repeatedly, like, and you're
Listen,
just.
I appreciate MMA for the simple reason of it clearly took the vast majority of assholes out of the pro wrestling fandom. Because pro wrestling, since MMA ascended, pro wrestling has been amazing in terms of like the
Yeah.
fan base, like not the actual stuff on TV. Some of that has been pretty shitty, but in terms of like the fan base, it's like all of a sudden become as MMA's popularity rose, like all of a sudden wrestling's fan base is like leftist hipsters, families, kids who are like super open to like everything, like in terms of like being like coming from progressive upbringing or whatever. Like
Mhm.
if you look at actually like there was a study a couple of years ago about like a survey I should say a couple of years ago about like where the majority of each sports fan base lied, and obviously pro wrestling is not a sport technically, but it was included in this survey. And other than the WNBA and the NBA, pro wrestling had the most left-leaning fan base of all the major sports, including like NFL, hockey, baseball, golf, which is the most right-wing of the sports based on that survey. It was like amazing to see because like you sort of, if you're a wrestling fan, you sort of saw the move to that. Like wrestling fan base is extremely diverse now.
Mhm. My most liked TikTok is a video from professional wrestling. I don't know the name of. I don't watch it. I don't know the name of the wrestler, it's not WWE. It's like a league, different league, but he's like.
AEW probably.
Yeah, it's the guy who like got in trouble for like pretending to fuck a statue at an airport. I think it was in Philadelphia. But he's like making fun of people who play video games. He was like, "Oh, I used to love video games, and then I had sex, and I thought it was funny as fuck, so I posted it." It's just like everyone who like responded to it was super nice, and like I figured I don't know, I had some sort of misconception about wrestling fans and how they would respond to like a queer woman posting like this video, but they were all super like nice about it. So yeah. And they
Yeah.
got me lots of views, so.
There you go. So, oh man, I honestly did not think we would talk about Andrew Tate at all. I'm so glad we did. But then when we
Yeah.
did bring it up, I had no idea we'd talk so much about it. I think this was great though. Do you have time to stick around for another like 15, 20 minutes to talk about uh, some other things?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't have class until noon tomorrow, so I'm all good.
Ooh, nice, nice. Oh
I'm
man.
also an hour behind you, so it's a little bit earlier for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Damn. I was just thinking class. Wow, I've not been to school in a very long. I'm old.
I'm in my last year of law school, so.
Okay, but I mean, I'm still old because I would have if I went to law school, I still would have went to law school a long time ago. To be a young buck again. Let's talk about the student loan forgiveness thing.
Yeah.
Because
As long as we're talking about school, might as well.
Ooh, I didn't even. I'm completely off. I didn't even explain to people who watch and used to seeing the green screen behind me. I told Rayyvana earlier, who I also just found out that she doesn't, even though her username is Rayyvana, no one calls her that. I did not know that. Whenever the times I would raid you, I would always go. No one ever would fix it for me. I would say, "Oh, let's raid Rayyvana," and no one's like, "No one calls her that, man." Thanks a lot, guys.
Some people call me that, to be fair. Jenk always only calls me Rayyvana, but I usually don't. Most people only call me Ray, and I typically like refer to myself as Ray. So.
Oh my God, you just basically confirmed that calling you Rayyvana is an old man thing. I am an old man now. I mean, not saying Jenkins an old man, but he's clearly a man in his, how old is Jenkins? In his 40s, I'm guessing, at least?
I mean, think so.
There we go. I'm officially in that 40 plus demographic, no longer considered the youth. Let's talk about the student loan forgive. Oh wait, I didn't even finish the story. So basically, I usually use a green screen. I was completely off, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear this shirt I was given by my kids for my birthday."
Fantastic shirt.
Thank you. And I wore it, and I sit down, and I give you a ring, and I put on my green screen before I share the video with you, and I'm like, "Oh shit." The green, it's going right through because it's green. So I was like, I could either run and change my shirt or just no green screen today. So I was just like, forget it, no green screen today. Let people see the shirt. So let's talk about the student loan forgiveness, which, of course, big news has to be dropped when I decide to take a rare break.
When you're on Splash Mountain.
Right. When I'm being extremely racist on Splash Mountain. That was, by the way, the last time I will ever ride Splash Mountain because they're changing it. You know about that, right?
Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't know?
That was my favorite ride.
Oh, did you not get the thing I said about being racist on Splash Mountain either?
Oh, I mean, it is racist for sure.
Yes.
Sorry. Anytime someone accuses me for being racist for like criticizing Obama, my followers will say racist with 2 Y's.
I like that. Oh, that's clever. But yeah, they're changing Splash Mountain out. It's gonna become a Princess and the Frog ride.
That's better.
Yeah.
They should do that. It is a racist ride.
yes, but as someone who became a fan of that ride and those characters simply because of the ride and not the racist movie that it was inspired by, I was like, oh, let me get like a Splash Mountain shirt or some Splash Mountain like memorabilia, like, you know, because it's going to be rare. They're not selling that anymore. There's no more Splash Mountain stuff at all at Disney World. In fact, some of the animatronics were broken. And I was told that they're not fixing it because they're just like, fuck it, the ride's dying anyway. We're just gonna just let it die.
I'm actually like looking over here because I have a picture on my wall of my friends and I on Splash Mountain. So like in my junior year of high school, I was in orchestra. There's like music in the parks or whatever every summer they do where they take like orchestras from high schools and we get to perform, and then you just get to go to the parks for a week or whatever. And my friends and I decided we were going to do that shtick where you like make a really funny picture. So we are holding up a chessboard and like playing chess in our Splash Mountain picture on my wall. And it's fantastic. That's really sad though. I don't know. I love that ride. I also didn't know it was a racist movie. I had no fucking clue. Why would I?
Yeah, it's actually, they never released it in the US. Like you could, it's on like, I mean, after it came out, they never released it on home video or DVD or streaming. You could get it in the UK and anywhere that it's apparently not considered racist for some reason. I guess because it's so ingrained in like US racism. So they're getting rid of the ride. The ride's gonna. I'm pretty sure the ride's gonna remain the same though. They're just taking out all the animatronics and turning it into a Princess and the Frog ride.
Are they changing the song? I feel like that's the most iconic part.
They're taking the song out for sure. Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually got a lot of good songs. That's the thing. If you go on the ride and have no idea about the movie, which I would say the vast majority of people who went on the ride have no idea about the movie because they never put the movie out here.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, these characters are great. Why didn't they ever do anything with Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Rabbit? Why aren't there people singing about the Laughing Place? In like Disney movies.
It was Brer Rabbit with a hard R, to be honest.
And then you find out about the movie and the character Uncle Remus and all the other stuff going on in the movie, and it's like, oh, I get it now. And so I sort of went through like the stages of mourning while I was on the line for Splash Mountain. Like I went from like, oh man, this sucks. Last time I'm gonna ride the ride, and then like I'm walking off and I'm like, you know what? It's time for the younger generation to enjoy a Disney brand they're more familiar with. It's time for Princess and the Frog to take over. I went through like all the stages from the beginning of the line to the end of the ride.
Finally, when you're going down the mountain, you find acceptance.
Yes, I accept it. I accept it.
The camera flashes and you're just soaking wet. Okay, it's time for Tiana to sit upon her throne of Splash Mountain.
Right. Yes. Also, it's gonna be interesting because I get why they're changing it, because like a lot of the animatronics inside will be really easy to just swap out.
Yeah.
Like that the old school like ferry boat thing, the one with the big wheel. I forgot what those things are called. That probably translates to
Riverboat.
Yeah, thank you. But it's also, I'm pretty sure, not the exact same. Like it's supposed to be like a briar patch. I don't think they got those in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Where Princess and the Frog takes place. But all right, let's get back to student loan forgiveness.
Wait, really quickly,
Yeah.
did you force your kids to sit through the Hall of Presidents?
My son is really into history and stuff. My 7-year-old.
Aw.
So he enjoyed well, okay, so this is interesting. This is interesting for the show, actually. So we go to Hall of Presidents. He's really interested in watching it. And the presidents show up, and they get to, and I gotta tell you, man, did Disney make Donald Trump's animatronic look like an evil villain? Like, oh my God, the face is like
Good.
the eyebrows. And this cannot be a coincidence. You could literally put these guys, 46 presidents on the stage. You could put any of them next to anyone. They have him standing right next to Andrew Jackson. Like, not a coincidence. Not a coincidence. So they get to, he's familiar with, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. He's a big fan of Joe Biden because he liked, he liked
Dark Brandon.
specifically because during the 2020 primaries, he was home while I was home and we were watching it, and he would see me get really into Bernie, and just to like get my goat, he'd be like, I like Joe Biden.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. So he's a big fan of Biden. And so he knew those
just
people.
To fuck with you.
Yes, just to fuck with me, yes. But he was born in 2015. So he was born during Obama's presidency, but by the time
that's not a year. I'm sorry, really quick. That's not a year human beings were born. That's
right.
wild. I
also
cannot accept that as a fact.
Are you ready for this one, though? I have a daughter born in 2019. So,
Jesus Christ. That's illegal. There's just no way people were born that year. I refuse to believe it.
Right. So he's not familiar with Obama because he was born in 2015, Obama, but he's basically a year old when Obama gets out of office. So his memories of a president are all like when he's actually in school learning about presidents is the current president is Trump, not Obama.
Yeah.
So when we're there and they name each president, like they announce each president and they do a little thing where they there's a spotlight on each animatronic as they say their name, and they look at the audience and like do a little like presidential nod. And so they get to Obama, and the crowd we're watching it with cheered during Obama. Like they're actually silent for like every other president. And they start clapping. So like, and then like for Trump, it was like murmurs of like the South Park like during when they say Trump. So like he is confused by that. So like right after that it ends, and he's like, why did they cheer for, and I forgot what he called him because he's not familiar. He called them like, I don't know. I think he like messed up like Obama or Iraq or something. I don't remember. He was like, oh, why did they?
Your son says Barack Hussein Obama.
That would have been fun. Now, that would have been fun if he turned to me and was like, Daddy, why did they cheer for Barack Hussein Obama? Daddy? If he turned all of a sudden into like, oh my God, do you watch that show on HBO? Oh my God, the family with John Goodman,
Yes, I do.
he all of a sudden turns into those children. He's like, Daddy, why did people cheer for Barack Hussein Obama, Daddy?
Oh my God.
But they were like, he was like so confused by it. He was like, so I was like, I explained like a lot of people really like him. A lot of people think he was a really good president. And so he was like, oh, I like Barack Obama now. That's, because he heard the crowd cheer for him. I like Barack Obama. Right. Also, coming out of the Hall of Presidents for me, it's like, man, could you imagine if there was a fucking Bernie Sanders animatronic up there? My God.
I sometimes, since February of 2020, so last year, I guess not this year yet. So 1 year, I was just depressed thinking about what was during like the Nevada primaries and just the feeling of excitement and hope I had. I was envisioning myself with my friends at a bar in Chicago, watching the results come in for Bernie Sanders before COVID. So everything got fucked up then, but then also no Bernie. Just
Right.
depressing as fuck. It sucks. It's
That
a terrible
2020
feeling.
primary season was really weird because it was like everyone's so hyped up. And then like just as things start falling apart for Bernie in the primary, like COVID hits too. Like it was such a weird time period. Like I don't want to go back to that period.
It was like really bizarre for me. I graduated undergrad into the pandemic. So I like didn't get my final semester of college was just eviscerated, which was fine for me because I worked full time to put myself through college. Segue into our student loan conversation finally. But so I was a teacher in a school for kids with disabilities, and they were mostly behavioral disabilities. So those kids were not going to go to Zoom school. So that didn't exist for us. And I was just getting paid full-time wages to sit at home and do nothing. All my classes were online. My professors didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So that was straight A's. And I just had like 3 months to sit at home and drink or do whatever the fuck I wanted.
Right. See,
so
that's the thing.
Was,
like, if
it was great for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, all these people who complained about, like, I could see college, especially if like you're paying for it and you're just sitting in, like, you're doing remote, you feel kind of like you're getting ripped off or whatever. I mean, you should feel ripped off anyway.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it is a ripoff. But I stayed in my apartment. I was like, I'm paying for this. I'm gonna be here.
right. But like, what really, like, man, if I was in high school during that time, like the people who complained about missing their graduation or their prom, I was like, oh my God, I would have loved being in high school during the fucking pandemic. It would have been the most greatest thing ever. I wish I was just that age during the pandemic. It would have been, I could just imagine me and my friends, how we would have hung out online during that period playing nonstop video games, because who cares? It's high school. I mean, man, I really missed out. Also,
prom sucks. And anyone who says it doesn't is a liar. My senior year prom, I took my friend who dropped out of school, so she didn't get a prom. And then she complained the whole time, and I had a migraine. I wish I had gone. I wish I had never been there. Like, I would have loved the pandemic to happen, so I didn't have to do that.
Right. So let's if this was the second half of the show, I would have honestly kept going. But let's get to this. Let's get to the student loan forgiveness thing. So I'm on vacation. I'm out on vacation. I get this news. Biden decides, even though we were told by the Democrats that he can't do it, all of a sudden he finally mustered up the ability to forgive some student loan debt. And listen, I'm not happy it's only $10,000. I'm not disappointed. It is $10,000. I think
it's $20,000 for me. So could be worse.
Oh,
if you got Pell Grants, $20,000.
Really? I missed that. Wow. Okay. So, like, people need to, like, listen. I think, obviously, continue to push the administration to do more. But also, you can't downplay $10,000 to $20,000, which for a lot of people, I'm sure that's going to be life changing.
Yeah, it's also if you went to hi kitty cat. Sorry, my cat's dancing around my feet. For certain schools, particularly schools that had predatory lending schemes, it is the entire debt erased. So if you went to ITT Tech, all of your loans are forgiven. If you go to Chicago School of Psychology, I only know that because my roommate had gone there, and so all of her loans are forgiven. But there's a whole long list of it. You should definitely go to Department of Education if you have student loans, check it out. But it's also the cap on payments, right? So like it's 5% now instead of 10% of your income. So I mean, it's really good. We could use a lot more.
Right.
Just forgive all of it. But like, it's, people are sort of downplaying the impact this will have. It'll have a huge impact on a lot of people. But like, he could do so much more, and it would only stand to benefit the Democrats in the midterms.
Right. All right. I mean, I saw earlier today that the one poll that has Senator Warnock down to Walker, which I don't believe that poll, because literally I don't see how anyone is voting for Walker in Georgia.
That's crazy. Last poll I saw, they were like 8 points apart.
There's one poll that's consistently had Walker ahead by like 4 points or something. And now he's only ahead by 2 points in that one poll where he's ahead. So, I mean, even in the one poll that's clearly been skewed towards Walker due to like whatever the makeup is. And this happens sometimes where like you just happen to get like this, I remember there was a poll during like the 2016 election that after the 2016 election, like the newspaper that was conducting the poll had to explain like, cause like their like the demographic breakdown of who was going to vote for Hillary and who was going to vote for Trump, their poll had abnormally large percentage of Black Americans voting for Trump. And it was because they had so few Black people involved in this poll, and like one of the Black people they had in the poll just happened to be a Trump supporter. So it skewed the poll completely wrong.
Oh my God.
They had to like come out and explain that. Like this one guy basically was like inaccurately making the poll look differently than how America felt towards it. But like, obviously it's probably like a situation like that with that one poll, but like even that moved the needle closer to Warnock. But like the idea that, listen, I'm lucky in terms of I don't have student loans. My parents were able to at the time save up for me. It was my 3 siblings that got screwed over by us no longer having any money. They didn't go to. They just went to. I went to School of Visual Arts because I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I am doing something with video. So there we go.
Yeah.
But so they were able to cover most of my tuition, and I paid for a little bit as well, a very little bit, but I paid for a little bit. But most of my school debt was me, because after the tuition paid off, they didn't have any other funds. So I basically used my credit card to pay off for supplies and stuff. And that's where my school debt came from. And, I had to pay that. There's no, like, that doesn't transfer. That's not a student loan. I have no complaints. I'm so happy people are having their student loans taken care of, as someone who no longer has student loan debt, but still is paying off credit card debt from my time in school. Cannot complain one bit. Anyone who complains about this is truly, honestly, demented. I mean, how do you complain about this? Like, people are being helped who need it. Help to people who should be helped, which we don't usually see. Rarely does our government actually do something like this and not just like throw another bone to businesses and millionaires and billionaires. Like, how could you complain about normal everyday people being helped? And I hate this idea of, oh, you didn't go to college because you couldn't afford it and you couldn't afford the tuition. Well, guess what? You're paying for it now for all this. No, you're not. No, you're not.
You're literally not.
That money already went to the schools. The schools were paid already. That's the point of a loan. The government already gave the schools the money.
I'm going to really quickly throw this demonic cat out the door.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You can keep going.
Yeah, sure. You already, the schools were already paid. The debt was owed to the government, and guess what? The government can just say, we're no longer going to collect. That's it. They're not saying, oh, we need your money to now pay for those loans. No, the loans are already paid. The tuition is already paid for. You are not going to pay for anybody's tuition. Like, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't hear any of these people complain when businesses file for bankruptcy and the government steps in and there's write-offs and there's no paying off of debt to creditors because, I filed for bankruptcy. Everything just evaporates. No. We don't see people complaining about that ever. All the different tax cuts and tax breaks and subsidies and bankruptcy forgiveness, PPP loans. Don't hear anyone complaining about that shit. I mean, I gotta say, I took out a small PPP loan because I had lost freelance income during the pandemic, like a couple $1,000, like I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000. Literally, I said, as I was doing this, people had to assure me, no, I did the same thing. It's okay. You can do this if you lost freelance income, even if you have another job or a full-time job. This is set up for any sort of loss in income due to the pandemic for freelancers and business owners. You can apply for PPP loans. So I did it, and I was like, I want to make sure I get the smallest amount that perfectly matches up with the money I lost. And then I find out that people were pretending they lost out on millions and millions of dollars and were getting these PPP loans forgiven. And I'm like, what an idiot I was.
That Mueller, She Wrote podcast, they got like $600,000 in PPP. Not like 100,000 maybe, but something absurd. You are a podcast. How could you not do?
I literally felt bad about the $3,000 or $4,000 I got based on my loss in my video editing income that I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I lost it. I'm eligible for this. I'm completely legit. I felt bad doing it because I was like, I'm taking away money from people who didn't have another job to fall back on like I did. And then I find out, like you just said, people taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars. Marjorie Taylor Greene literally taking out a PPP loan and then putting hundreds of thousands of dollars to her own campaign.
Yeah.
What's
Batya Ungar Sargon, I think is her name, the woman who's an editor for Newsweek. She was complaining about, she was like, oh, Amazon workers and people who change elderly people's bedpans are now having to pay your tuition from college, which first of all, hella people who I went to college with work for Amazon now because they couldn't find a job. So first of all, shut the fuck up. Nurses change people's diapers and bedpans. They had to get a four-year degree, so they have student loans.
Right.
But also, you are a chief editor for Newsweek, which took out $600,000 in PPP loans, which were completely fucking forgiven by the government. So please miss me with that bullshit. Your outrage is completely phony, completely fake. You don't actually care about working, because she also included in there railroad workers. And I was like, if you knew working class people, you would know that railroad workers have very strong union protections and actually make quite a bit of money doing what they do. So you would not include them in your pity tweet about people who do jobs that you think are pathetic. But yeah, it was just disgusting. You don't care. You work for an organization that had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt relieved, which it could have afforded to pay.
I feel, goddamn me for being born with morals. I mean, I really should have added a few zeros to the end of that.
And I
My
don't think
God.
anyone would have faulted you for it.
I don't think I would have even. I think I would have. Nothing would have happened. I literally, from what
Yeah.
I'm seeing, people just getting like to have been caught by this. From what I'm seeing, you would have been like especially egregious.
Yeah.
Like had no business whatsoever, and like manufactured one out of thin air, and not even taking like a couple grand or even a couple like six figures, like talking about the people who manufactured a business out of thin air and took like $4 to $10 million out or something, which I saw some people did that, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, listen, I couldn't do something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I felt so bad for actually doing what I was eligible for.
My dad is a professional musician, so he does like shows in bars and stuff for the most part. He does like covers of Eagles songs in bars around the Chicagoland area. And that's his only job. That's all he's ever done my entire life. So as
That's
long as
pretty
I've known.
badass, actually.
Oh yeah, I mean, doesn't make a lot of money doing it, but he does what he loves, and I respect the fuck out of my dad for doing that. And when the pandemic hit, of course, there's no bars to be playing in. He couldn't get PPP loans. He applied for unemployment, got it, and then they came at him. You know, it was bizarre because he's a gig worker, right? So that was a whole new, fresh system. And then halfway through, they were like, "Excuse me, we've been overpaying you. Please give us back the money that we know you've already spent because we already gave it to you." And it was just like the disparity between that and then like reading again, Mueller, she wrote. First of all, who the fuck is Robert Mueller in 2020? Nobody. He's irrelevant. Why do you even still have that podcast? Let alone, why are you getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in PPP loans for a remote podcast that was already remote? What do you need that money for? And I'm just like watching my dad struggle because he doesn't qualify for PPP loans as a gig worker or whatever. It's ridiculous.
Right. What was the claim that they lost on? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was a I was a freelancer doing editing and like digital media at work and stuff for like under contract for other organizations. And like, they just literally after it ended, they were like, oh, we're just gonna, we're because of everything that happened and certain losses, we're gonna take a break from doing that specific project. So there goes that. But like, what was her like? I didn't take out a PPP loan based on my podcast because the loss in revenue via that was. I mean, I guess I could have claimed some patrons who left because of the pandemic, but like, what? That's not anything. Like, that's people leave all the time. You know what I mean? Man, I'm really bad promoter. People cancel my Patreon all the time. I'm losing patrons all the time.
My entire community was created only because of the pandemic. So.
Right. Yeah, what's the like for that podcast, Mueller, she wrote, the pandemic didn't fuck up your shit. 2018 fucked up your shit.
The world moved on. History continued. And Robert Mueller's investigation meant nothing.
Right. The Mueller report came out. End of story. Your shit got screwed then. What did the pandemic have to do with it?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous that podcast even still exists, let alone how much money she got. But yeah, one person who had the most heinous take on the student loan forgiveness was Senator Marco Rubio.
Oh, you're making sure I get to this. You are all cute. You are on point. Damn.
I do a podcast with. Do you know Kenzo Shibata?
Yes, I'm familiar with him.
I do a podcast with Kenzo, and he is so smooth with his transitions. I feel like I'm studying him, and like,
if I ever my Patreon subscriber base ever gets large enough to hire a producer, you're at the top of the list right now. You're
fuck yeah.
So let's get to this Marco Rubio clip because this is especially funny. Like, all these Republicans coming out complaining about this stuff, and let me just change the preferences here so you can hear the clip now. So you will hear yourself for a second. That issue that was before.
That's totally fine. I love to listen to myself talk anyway. So
hell yeah, there we go. This should work now. Okay. Let's play this. Okay, so we had a bunch of Republicans come out and complain about this. They're saying, "Oh, it's not fair." That bullshit that I brought up before, where they say, "Oh, you didn't go to all those people who didn't go to college because they couldn't afford it, and now they're paying all of these people's student loan debt," which again they are not. The tuition is already paid for by the loans given out by the government. The government can just say, "We're not collecting on the loans. No one pays for it." End of story. Because it's the government. They're literally the ones in charge of the money. But anyway, here is an especially funny retort to Joe Biden becoming Dark Brandon and forgiving $10,000 to $20,000 in student loan debt, depending on where your loans are from. This clip is so great. Let's play this clip right now. This is Senator Marco Rubio.
There's no reform. Let's start with this. I talked about the fact we need to reform student loans. I owed over $100,000 in student loans. The day I got elected to the Senate, I had over $100,000 still in student loans that I was able to pay off because I wrote a book, and from that money I was able to pay it. If not, it would never. I'd still be paying it. Okay, so that's not about. I think the student loan thing in America is a big problem, and it's broken, and it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be reformed. And I have bipartisan ideas I've been pushing.
So there you have it. I mean, it's just amazing. So first, let's break this down. Let's break this down. So Marco Rubio says he gets elected to the Senate, and he comes to the Senate still with student loan debt. Now, we don't know how much, but he comes to the Senate still with student loan debt. Now, you think maybe you can say, oh, he paid off the student loan debt via a senator's salary, which is like what, mid 100K? Like, I think it's like 150 to 180K, something like that. A year, but he doesn't say that. He doesn't even say the rest of America should become one of 100 senators, and then they could all pay off their student loan debt too. He doesn't even say that. He has to go a step further and say, because apparently his student loan debt was so much that even a senator's salary wouldn't have paid it off like that as soon as he got elected. He says that due to becoming a senator, he then gets a book deal, and the book deal then pays off his student loan debt. Now, I don't know if he got an advance or if he was paid based on sales of his book, but I will say that if it was based on sales of the book, there's an additional hierarchy here, I guess you could say, so he goes from senator to book sales to a third thing, which is, listen, the vast majority of politicians, unless you're like, you know, a huge figure or something like a Trump or a Bernie Sanders, or I'm sure, you know, Obama, even Hillary Clinton, I'm sure sold a lot of books legitimately. But if you're like a senator or a House member, you're and didn't have any higher aspirations or didn't run for anything. I mean, Marco Rubio did, I guess, but no one cared about his campaign. The way you sell your books, especially if you're a Republican, is a think tank comes along and buys in bulk tens of thousands of copies, specifically so your book then ranks on like the New York Times bestseller list, which in turn, I guess, in their view, helps spread their ideology they believe in, because people will then say, oh, that book's popular, I'm going to go buy it, which they wouldn't have done if it wasn't on the New York Times bestseller list. And then they have all these copies of these books, which then they resell themselves or give away to their membership or their donor base or whatever. So, I mean, Marco Rubio basically just wants everybody in America to A, become a senator or a Congress member in general, I guess. Then B, get a book deal. And then C, obviously write the book. And then D, just get a think tank to buy in mass quantities, thus propelling your book to bestseller list quality. And then you'll make enough money to pay off your student loan debts. Why can't everyone in America who has student loan debt just do that, Ray?
That's great. Like, as someone who has Okay, so I'm very lucky, right? I went to community college first. I saved some money doing that. I worked full time all through undergrad, saved money doing that. I have very few student loans, which will be entirely wiped out by this forgiveness from undergrad. I have significantly more from law school, which will take a little bit of time to pay off. But like, I am actually extraordinarily grateful for his advice. I will simply take Dick Durbin's place in the Illinois Senate, and then I will get a fantastic book deal. And perhaps I will become the, minority or majority leader of the Senate and then get paid a little bit more. And then I will lambast my colleagues in the House and in the Senate who don't even qualify for student loan forgiveness, for benefiting from it in some way, shape, or form that I have invented myself. Because there are many of them who were complaining about how many Democrats in the House are going to benefit from student loan forgiveness. Exactly zero, because they make too much money.
You should totally run for office, for real though. If this Marco Rubio video has inspired you, then please, by all means, I would vote for you.
I think I would rather lay down on I-90 and get run over by all the cars than run for office. But I have worked for a couple of Congress people. I've worked for a senator. But it sucks. Like it's shitty work. Like especially when you're working from someone who is ideologically not necessarily aligned with you. I mean, I've never worked for like a Republican, but like the Democrats suck too. So yeah. But
listen,
it's just. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, when you do run for office, just make sure that tweet that announces the congressional run, make sure it has the hashtag Khyven for maximum visibility on the internet. Everyone will know that you're.
It's actually the Ray Hive, but thank you.
There you go.
They do hate me. The Khyve does hate me, but it is really just like. It's silly to portray this character of rich guy who is mad that people are having their student loans forgiven, because most people aren't upset about it. I saw this ridiculous article title. I don't remember what publication it was in, but it was like, "Oh, majority of Americans think that forgiving student loans will contribute to inflation." And I was like, I read it and I was like, bullshit. Just like immediately that title, bullshit. Most Americans don't know how inflation works. Most Americans' like concerns with inflation are boiled down to gas is higher, groceries are higher. It's not like, oh, I think that there's some technicality that will make student loan forgiveness contribute to inflation that will impact me. Like it was just like a terrible study to cite to from an otherwise reputable news source. It's just bullshit. Like he's representing the elites, but trying to portray himself as representing like a majority of Americans. But most people don't. They're happy to see people not struggle. Like you're fucked up if you want to see people struggle.
Yes. No, absolutely. A lot of fucked up people in this country who want to see people struggle, sadly. Yeah. Ray, this was fantastic. And we didn't even get to, I thought, I am having you on. We'll talk a little bit about your Twitter bans and your war with Khyve, which I was able to name drop a little bit ago just to get that in there. So, I mean, you're gonna have to come back on. Of course, you're not. I'm not Andrew Tate. Not gonna grab you and force you to come back on the show. Not gonna grab you by the hair like a caveman, like I'm sure he teaches his young teens to do. But I would love to have you back on the show if you'd like to come on and have more conversations about this stuff.
100%. And I'm sorry to the audience if I was a little bit tired or off my game tonight. Someone did ask me in the chat what I was drinking, because I'm really tired and I have narcolepsy. So I might appear like I'm drinking alcohol, but I am only drinking lemon elderberry soda from Trader Joe's, which is super delicious if anyone wants to get that.
I'm a soda aficionado. I drink soda every stream. Everyone always comments on it about what I'm drinking. How is that? I've never heard of that before. It's legit.
Oh, it is fucking delicious. This is genuine. And I usually only fuck with sugar-free soda. This actually doesn't have very much sugar in it.
Boo.
I know. But no, it's so good. It's super cheap. So good. I love it.
So it has sugar?
It does have sugar.
It has caffeine?
Fantastic.
Has caffeine?
I actually don't think it has any caffeine in it.
I might have to just taste it to add it to my soda collection, but might not be a regular.
You could mix it with another soda. I'm sure it would be awesome.
Ooh, I like your way of thinking. That's a good idea. So Ray, where can people who aren't? A lot of people were very happy actually to see us do a co-stream together. So I think a lot of people are familiar with you, but for the people who aren't, where can people find you online?
Yes, you can follow me at twitch.tv/Rayyvana. That is Rayyvana. I stream most weeknights except for Tuesdays. I do not stream, which is why this worked out perfectly. You can also follow me on Twitter now that I am unbanned. Rayyvana TTV. I'm on Instagram at Rayyvana. Every other platform is Rayyvana. My subreddit is Rayyvana. Yeah. So everywhere else you can follow me at Rayyvana. You can also check out my podcast, Taking the L, on every podcast streaming source. It's also on YouTube. And I have my other podcast with Kenzo, which is like a more political podcast. That is on YouTube and Kenzo's Patreon, but that's called Red Flag. So you can check that out as well.
There we go. Ooh, I always love when someone comes on with a whole library of their projects, because that's what I do. Like I go on when I'm on the Majority Report on Thursdays. I co-host with obviously Emma, but also Brandon Sutton of the Discourse, and he basically just does the Discourse podcast. And one of his like ongoing jokes is it doesn't even come out every week. So he always just, he name drops it like a small thing, like, oh, we have it this week. Sometimes not even. And then I come on and it's like, check out A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. It's like, whoa.
Now that you say that, I actually realized I forgot two things, which is number one, you can check out my videos on Rebel HQ on YouTube and Facebook every day. And also, I have a show on TYT called Reactions. It's every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. So after the Majority Report. So you can check out the Majority Report on Thursday and then tune into TYT's Twitch stream to see Reactions.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect timing. If I was involved, if I was running the Majority Report Twitch channel, I would raid you right after, but I have nothing to do with that. Ray, this was a lot of fun. Hope to have you back on again real soon. Have a great night.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. I'm feeling a little, I was feeling a little bit off. And then that great conversation with, the same thing sort of happened with me 2 weeks ago with the Surfs, with the episode with Lance of the Surfs. Two great people who helped me get me back on my game. Like I came into those two episodes like feeling like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit, because I don't usually take time off. I hate that feeling of trying to get back into the groove. I'd prefer just not to get out of the groove. So I was like feeling like, oh man, something feels weird. I'm feeling like I'm forgetting something. I'm feeling a bit off. But Lance a few weeks ago and Ray today, I'm totally back on my game this quick. Look at that. So let's go to the second half of the show. We went long in the first half, so I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen on the second half because I'm feeling back on my game, but I don't think I could do a 4+ hour stream tonight, especially after I did not last Thursday. The last live stream I did before going away for that week was the 8.5 hour marathon, where I did the entirety of Majority Report, filling in for Emma in the first half and then doing the second half with Brandon and Matt Leck. So that was like 3 hours there. And then I did a post-Majority Report stream at 3, which was 2 hours. So there was 5 hours there. Then the Scam Economy episode, which was like 6 hours. And then I did like a 2.5 hour post show on Scam Economy, which was 2.5 hours. So I was like, I don't know how I did it, honestly. At the end of that night, I then had to go to bed to wake up for a plane to catch the next day. So I did it, though. I did it. So that was a lot of fun, though. I want to do something like that again for like a membership drive. I will definitely be doing another one. And then this time there will be no plane to catch the next day. So I'll be a little bit more hyped. It was honestly a last minute thing. I mean, when I found out a couple days earlier that Emma was going to be out, and I was asked to fill in for the entirety of the Majority Report episode, I just came together in days. So let's go to that second half where I'll take your calls. I'll take a quick break to get a drink, but before I do that, because it's really hot in here. I don't know if it's extra humid tonight, but I am sweating more so than I did in like mid-July. I got to go see if the AC is on too. So at least it'll creep under the cracks and crevices under the door. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to the people who became patrons. Not many, but I wasn't expecting people to become patrons during my week off, yet people did. So I want to thank Justin I, Vincent G, Craig Z, and Jared M for becoming patrons during that period where there was no show. Not no show. I did have for Doomed. I did have the QAnon crypto episode of Scam Economy, which I repurposed. No call-ins yet. Don't call in yet. Not taking calls yet. And then I did have calls clipped from the post of the Scam Economy post show for the main Scam Economy feed. So there was content. But no real calls for patrons. So I really thank you for joining during that time. And, you know, some people did have to bow out during that week. So you guys helped, you know, keep it even and steady. So at the end of the day, I didn't lose any patrons. So you guys evened it out. I have the same amount of patrons I had when I left 2 Thursdays ago. So if you'd like to become a Patreon subscriber and help me grow the show, bring people on board to help create more content and disseminate the content via more avenues, go to patreon.com/MattBinder. Really, if you enjoy the show and have the spare change to do so, that is the most direct way to help this show grow. And also Scam Economy. This, you know, I never upped my suggested price. Again, you could give as little as whatever Patreon's minimum is. The suggested is $5. That was the suggested when I was just doing Doomed. It's still the suggested when I'm doing a weekly Doomed and a weekly Scam Economy. So yeah, patreon.com/MattBinder. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube live stream, you could drop a super chat, which is a great way to drop a one-off payment thank you. And I read all super chats during the second half of the show. Just go to youtube.com/MattBinder, and there you go, right in the live stream chat. You could also do a super thanks on the replay of the show, which is basically the same thing, but that's YouTube's version of the replay version of super chat. That's all. If you're over on Twitch, twitch.tv/MattBinder, you can subscribe there too. But here's the thing with Twitch. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, Amazon gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription as a bonus along with your Amazon Prime subscription. So what is that? Basically, you can subscribe to one of your favorite Twitch creators every month for free for you, but Amazon then has to give payment from their pockets, to the Twitch creator you subscribe to. Literally, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, there is no reason to not do this. If you don't want to give it to me, just give it to someone. Whoever you decide to give it to will be more, it'll help them and be more, they'll thank you more for it than just letting Amazon, who already has enough, keep even more of the money you already pay them from your Amazon Prime subscription. I mean, I'm telling you about this in hopes you give it to me. But even if you don't, just use it. Give it to someone you like. twitch.tv/MattBinder. Connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You'll get that free Twitch Prime subscription every month. You will have to manually give that subscription every month. For example, if you subscribe to me this month, it won't automatically resubscribe next month. Even if you still want to give me your Twitch Prime subscription the following month, you will have to manually resubscribe. I'm sure it's a pain. It sounds like it is, but it's really simple to do. I got people who've been resubscribed via Prime for many months. For example, Daredevil just resubscribed with Prime just now. They've been subscribing to my channel for 4 months with Twitch Prime, and they even left a comment, "Shit, I just forgot until now to renew my free Twitch Prime subscription." But thanks, Daredevil. At the end of the day, you did resubscribe. That's all that matters. Here's another person, Ponderosapine. They actually are giving me a paid. Maybe they're not a Twitch Prime subscriber, but they are giving me a paid subscription via Twitch, and they've been a subscriber for 8 months now. So yeah, another person, a social communist, has been subscribed under tier 1 for 6 months now. So thank you all so much. And Ponderosapine, I do see your comment. I'll read that in the second half of the show. The one that's connected to your Twitch Prime subscription, your Twitch subscription. I'll read that. Don't worry about it. I haven't forgotten it. All right, first let me say this really fast. This is unbelievable. This is just breaking now. Apparently someone has called in a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital. Just now, a bomb squad is called in. I mean, I spoke about this with Lance 2 weeks ago on the Majority Report that Thursday. The campaign against children's hospitals from transphobes like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Walsh, and in my opinion, the person who's been spearheading it, Chaya Raichik of Libs of TikTok fame. Unbelievable. Just gross people doing this. We'll probably talk about this more later on, but I wanted to drop this in the free half of the show. What else? So Scam Economy on Thursday. What else? I was gonna mention. I'll save the bigger mention of this for next week, but I'll give you guys a little bit of it now. I am really thinking about like with a real sort of focus on it too. Not taking away from Doomed and Scam Economy, but I'm saying a renewed focus on this compared to how focused I was on this specific thing before. The newsletter I ran, the misinformation newsletter at misinfo.com, I am strongly thinking about launching it and spending more time than I previously did on it. And probably what I would like to do, and this would be more doable than bringing on people for the podcast, would be taking some freelance reporting and articles from people who have there are a lot of great journalists out there who aren't getting their content published that I think would really fit the type of work I cover, the type of topics I cover that I'd love to get out there. I'm thinking of relaunching the newsletter to do that. Another great reason to subscribe to patreon.com/MattBinder. All right, folks, let's go to the second half of the show. Fire up your Skype app. Type in Doomed Live, one word, Doomed Live, and click that enter button so you could search it. You'll find the account for Skype, and I will take your calls. First, I will take a quick break just to make sure the AC is blasting. I might even have to keep the door open because I am, you might see me slowing down. I am fading away here from the humidity. we'll talk a little bit about my trip to Disney stuff. That was a lot of fun talking about the Splash Mountain stuff. So I'll probably talk more about Disney stuff in the second half. Let me refill my soda. And if you're not sticking around, and to the Patreon subscribers Renee, can you hold on a second before quit calling in for a second? My God, I'm not taking calls yet, buddy. Just give me a second. I keep hearing the Skype caller on my end because Renee keeps trying to call in, so he calls in first. If you're a Patreon subscriber and notice that there are a number of Patreon bonus episodes missing, I noticed it too. Thank you. Extra special thanks to the patrons who've been who've shown me that, hey, these episodes are missing from the feed. My plan is that when I have a few days this week, at the end of this week and into the weekend, is to re-upload those missing episodes of the Patreon membership feed that's missing. There was some issue. It's been fixed, but the episodes are missing. I got to re-upload them. They will be there. So hold on, hang tight. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the heads up. They'll be there. And for people who aren't patrons, or if you're not watching the live stream and not sticking around to watch the second half of the show, I will see you all next time on Doomed. All right, we are back. Yeah, it is really hot. I need to keep the door open. So I got to be a little bit quieter because that means the kids will hear me. You probably won't notice because I'll just turn my mic volume up. I'm not gonna like whisper, so there'll be no change in my tone. But I'm just gonna be more careful about screaming and yelling. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
G'day, Matt. It's John from Australia. How you doing?
Hey, John from Australia. How are you doing? I'm doing. Oh wait, you said that's me. I am. My God, it is so hot. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And given that it's doomed, let's not talk about crypto today.
Right, you could
How
call
about
on
that?
Thursday. Yeah, that sounds good. You call on Thursday for that. But I got to thank you for the. You really did me a solid, giving me some great content for those 2 weeks. I mean, people who don't listen to Scam Economy, you should. But if you don't, John called in a couple of times during the post show for Scam Economy with some crypto stories to talk about, and they were such great calls that I ended up clipping them and using them for the Scam Economy main show podcast feed those 2 weeks I was off. And, you know, it was a great help having that content there. So there wasn't like that empty week in the feed.
And look, to be fair, there is just so much content. I'm sure if I hadn't called in, you wouldn't have had any trouble filling it. But I'm glad I could help in that regard.
Oh no, you're right. I definitely would have found stuff, but it would have been the extra. It would have been the extra work of having to have gone out of my way to like then sit down and create that extra content. But instead, you called in and we basically had those great conversations that basically just queued it right up for me.
Maybe we'll get some more of those in the future as well.
Sounds
so you
good.
can take more vacations.
That'd be perfect.
But hey, I wanted to get your take on something sort of regarding this sort of conspiratorial world we live in, something that maybe a little bit higher level. I've been, perhaps not as much as yourself, but I've been following conspiracies and this sort of new age kind of grift sphere that we're currently living in and through for a while now. And I've been trying to look back into the past to see if there's a period of time that was somewhat similar to what we're living through. I'm looking back to things like the Satanic Panic and the like and that sort of thing. But it's hard to find, again, this is probably the case with a lot of history, it's hard to find something that kind of pairs up one-to-one given the vast differences in time we're talking about. But what I wanted to get your opinion on was, what is it about today and what is it about this time that makes these sort of beliefs so prolific and so taking such a pivotal role on the world stage, right? Like we've got like anti-vax, anti-lockdown, but even prior to that, we have QAnon, we have those sort of beliefs manifesting. Like, what is it about this period in time you think that makes those things so potent?
I would say there's a few things, but I would say a major part of it is without a doubt the current social media sphere. I don't think it's ever existed in this way where you've had a few platforms exist for as long as they've had. Like, obviously pre-internet conspiracy theories existed, but you'd have to search out for people. It would take a lot longer to create a community. I would say that's why you probably saw more like cults during that era, I would say, because you would find like-minded people, but it would take so long and you would just get your own little circle, and that sort of just, you have a number of people in your group and maybe you have a few people join as you grow every year or whatever, but that's the limitation to no marketing budget and minimal ways of amplifying your beliefs or ideologies or whatever it is you're trying to spread. But then social media comes along, early days of the internet, and forums, and then there are a bunch of those early social media platforms. They don't really stick around for they each had a pretty short shelf life. So I mean, think about the people who you I don't know if you were big on any of the earlier platforms, but like they were people on like MySpace when I was in high school that were like the huge influencers on MySpace who, like, when MySpace died, these people disappeared. They did not get traction on other platforms. Remember Tila Tequila or whatever her name was? Like, she wasn't big on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. She was a MySpace creation, huge on MySpace, and pretty much her fame died with MySpace. So I think the fact that these platforms have existed and have held on to their place in the social media world has been a great boon to those influencers who have been established on there. They didn't need to hope they got big somewhere else. Like, if Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire didn't have Facebook, I mean, if Facebook died tomorrow and they had to grow on some new platform, would they be as successful? I mean, they'd have to start from square one. It would be they have to create from the bottom up all over again. I don't know. Maybe because they have the budget to pay for advertising, but who knows if it would catch on. So I think that has something to do with it. I think the ease in which more people are using these platforms, so the ease to reach more people too. So it's not only the platforms itself, but just more people are comfortable with social media and how the internet is used today. I just think that has a lot to do with it, and of course, very specifically speaking about these past couple of years, the pandemic was a huge boon to the conspiracy movement. I mean, there are people who became conspiracy theorists solely because of the pandemic. And then there are people who became conspiracy theorists because their time home due to the pandemic helped them find the time to fall down these rabbit holes. I mean, off the top of my head, those are some of the most obvious reasons I can think of.
And do you see, this is a two-part question. Do you see, do you feel that the sort of the time we're living in now in regards to the popularity and the mainstreaming of those sort of conspiratorial beliefs and communities, do you see that as a sort of a natural extension of the stuff that was occurring in maybe the 70s, 80s, and 90s? Is there a pretty clear growth or a through line there that you see? And then the second part of the question is, what sort of trajectory do you see them heading on into the future?
Right. So I would definitely say, yeah, there's it's a lot of the same. Like the difference I mentioned before about how, like, I guess a lot of people saw these groups as like cults earlier because they would get their own like specific groups that actually meet up in real life and stuff. And so, like, I guess that sort of branding of a cult fit more. At least when looking back now, I don't recall if that was the case then, but I think it was. But yeah, a lot of it is human nature in terms of people trying to make sense of things that they don't understand. And some people don't want to accept the very obvious truths of why something is the way it is. So they'd rather believe these cockamamie, wild conspiracy theories in order to fit things into their worldview instead of changing their worldview to match fact and what's actually going on. Like we're seeing a lot of satanic panic and like a lot of stuff like that right now. And obviously that was a big thing back in like the 80s. I think it's like the difference now of why it's growing is because the medium to spread this stuff. But I don't think much has changed in terms of like the human nature behind it and why people are susceptible to it. Like that has stayed the same, in my opinion. Maybe the fact that more mainstream figures are now peddling this shit, like, for example, the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. I'm sure that has been a factor as well. But again, that's more of the spread of this stuff, not really the human nature behind why people want to believe in this stuff. So yeah, I don't think much has changed there. And for your second question, I don't know. I really feel like it could go either way. For the immediate future, I think it's going to continue to get worse. But I think it's because a lot of these platforms act too late. And while them acting is good because it stifles the future spread of this stuff and the future platforming of figures who spread this stuff, a lot of these people do already have an audience by the time they are finally deplatformed or banned. So the immediate future still gives them a generation of people to push the bullshit they're peddling and continue to monetize their content on other platforms or on their own personal hosted platforms. So immediate future, I think it's going to continue to get either worse or stay the same. For long term, I don't know. It could get better. It could get worse. I think it could go either way, and I don't want to. I don't feel strong enough on either side of it to speculate. My opinion is that it could go either way. I don't know for long term how it's going to get, what direction it's going to go.
Fascinating. As a bit of a meta commentary, I've got to say it's really, really interesting to hear you talk on this topic and how different it is to hear you talk on crypto. Like these two things for me are very, very similar, and I find the way I talk about them as well is very, very different as well. You have this much more perhaps considered academic almost approach to the way that you approach conspiracism and the right wing, versus crypto is this kind of almost unhinged, if you will, approach to. It's pretty clear that the crypto stuff is maddening in a sense. It's almost infuriating. But I think I get a sense that it's the conspiracy stuff. You have a little bit more, compassion, but maybe that's not the right word as well, because I think you have a great deal of compassion for the folks who get involved in the crypto stuff and get scammed. But it's just interesting to see the two ways you talk about this stuff.
Right. I see what you're saying. I think the overlap is clear in terms of like a lot of like, I think the reason I'm able to do scam economy is because there's a lot of overlap with the beats I'm already familiar with and stuff I've covered for a long time. Obviously, there's the financial aspect that is something that I've said multiple times on scam economy is something that is new to me. I've only been really learning about that because of this explicit overlap over the past few years. But I think the difference is like these conspiracy theories that I cover on Doomed do deliver for the audience. Like, if you are a conspiracy theorist who believes the election was stolen from Trump, it's still delivering. These conspiracy theories are still delivering for you. Like, yeah, Trump has not been reinstated in office like they believe it will happen. But you know what? The war is long, and the battle is still being fought, and so it's still feeding them that whole thing that they're hoping for, looking for. If they're putting money into the right-wing grift, paying their favorite creators to give them that content, those creators are delivering. Like, they're giving them that content. The thing for crypto that's different for me, from my coverage of it, is crypto is not delivering for the audience. Like, because they're not paying into these crypto projects to hear nice things to make them feel good about their ideologies. I mean, maybe some people are, but the vast majority of them are dropping their money in hopes of making more money, and they're just losing more money instead. Like, it seems like a pretty direct way for like just like basic, like even like to look at it from like a consumerist standpoint. Like, as a consumer, the right-wing grift delivers for its audience. It gives them the service they pay for and makes them feel the way they want to feel. That's what they're paying for, that good feeling of they're on the right side, their ideology is right, their belief system is right, and they will win the war. That's what they're being told by their favorite right-wing influencers and personalities. When it comes to crypto, you're paying in to 2 times, 3 times, 100 times your money. Get rich quick. Very few people are getting rich quick. If you're a consumer paying for a product or service, you're not getting that product or service. You'd be pretty pissed, I would think. I mean, I would be pissed if I was one of them. But they're not. They're just like stepping on the rakes like Sideshow Bob over and over again. That to me is where the complete difference lies in terms of the delivery of the product they're paying for. On one end, there's delivery. They're getting what they pay for. On the other end, there's not. Yet both people seem to be quite content with continuing to throw their money at either side of what they're paying for.
Well, it's fascinating, right? Because I've been sort of across crypto for a little while, and something that was pretty clear from the beginning was that it was a very sort of libertarian focused movement. Then in the last maybe 3 or so years, maybe a little bit longer, you started to see this language emerge that feels kind of eerily similar to stuff like Nasara, where it's like, oh, it's this transfer of wealth, right? Like this is the like crypto says, like crypto boosters say, this is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of humanity or whatever. And they're saying stuff like, we've got to fight the Fed, we've got to fight this, the central bank and whatever. They're using these like the same kind of looming figures that like traditional, like the episode I think he did on Doomed about Nasara, the documentary, where like constantly they'd say, oh, it's going to happen on this date, and then it doesn't happen, and then like they come back, they have the conference call and they say, oh, these shadowy figures blocked it from happening or whatever, but then it's fine, and we're still working on it. This stuff happens in crypto all the time. Oh, look, it's really bad that this happened. We're working on this, and we all got to stick together. The language that you're seeing emerge in crypto, I think, is very, very similar, and that's sort of what makes me interested in it and wonder if, like, well, it's not this conspiracy kind of right-wing stuff, and it's not just crypto stuff. There has to be something about the moment we're in that's tying them together. And it has to be this kind of culture of mistrust, right? Like this dissolution of like a shared universal kind of reality.
Yeah, I mean, that's what made Nassar so interesting to me. The episode I believe was either earlier this year or late last year. I don't recall, but it's certainly within the past 365 days. When obviously I was getting even more entrenched in the crypto world. So I think Nassara was especially interesting to me, and it's become my favorite like right-wing conspiracy theory because of that money angle. That's usually not part of the right-wing conspiracy theories. Like usually right-wingers, they're happy to lose money, to spend money in order to fund their favorite personality or organization in hopes of the greater good, and that greater good being ideological, not necessarily directly, at least, filling their own pockets. Like someone paying for Daily Wire is doing it because they want Daily Wire to continue spreading the garbage they spread. It's not because they think by subscribing to Daily Wire they're somehow making a personal investment that's going to grow their own wallets. Nassara is that combination of right-wing conspiracy theory, yet at the same time that idea of enriching yourself personally and directly. It's a very weird thing to see in a right-wing conspiracy because they literally hate that type of stuff. Like, if you're an Nassara believer, this would be really fascinating. I'm sure the number of open Nassara believers right now probably aren't that big to actually do this, but I would love to see the overlap between right-wingers who believe in Nassara and think it's great and they can't wait for it, and right-wingers who are shitting on the student loan forgiveness. I would love to see that overlap, that Venn diagram. I bet it is huge, which would be hilarious.
Well, I think you're right. I think there would be a number of those people who do that because this conspiracy sort of age that we live in now feels a lot more like, and again, I'm sort of talking off of my reading of this stuff, but previously it seemed to be that you would buy into like a conspiracy pretty hardcore, right? And you would deep dive into that and follow the threads and the paths that it led you on. But now it feels a little bit more like a buffet where you grab bits and pieces of other conspiracies and you sort of like ships passing in the night with people who go like, oh, hey, you got to check out this Nassara thing. Oh, what's Nassara? Oh, the government's going to forgive all your debt and whatever. This bill that was written in the 90s, the globalists aren't going to pass it. Oh, cool. I'll write that down. Like this, they're just sort of grabbing this stuff piecemeal and building these weird, bizarre, seemingly conflicting versions and visions of reality that they're not really critically engaging with.
Right, right. Yes, I mean that's the right wing mantra, isn't it? I mean, that's sort
Sure,
of
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's double standards all the time. Hypocrisy run amok. They don't care either. It's like it is like I mean we're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene out there shitting on the student loan forgiveness while she's taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in PPP loans that apparently she didn't even need because that same year she took out those PPP loans, she also gave hundreds of thousands of dollars personally to her own congressional campaign. I mean, does that sound like a struggling small business owner to you? Doesn't sound like one to me.
I would be interested to go back and check to see back in Marjorie Taylor Greene's sort of QAnon posting phase, if she had ever mentioned anything relating to Nasara or Gassara. Because there was a
would
lot of
actually,
people who just sort of would drop that stuff in.
yeah, I could picture her not being one of those people simply because uh, I think she came from. I mean, the small business she owns is one started by her dad. So it seems like she came from an area of maybe not super wealthy, but certainly grew up uh, well off. And I feel like the people who fell into the Nasara conspiracy probably found themselves in pretty legit, whether it be medical debt or I don't know, debt of some sort. I mean, I feel like you need to be you're a certain type of person if you're waiting for Nasara. Like it's not exactly the small business owner class, the January 6th petty bourgeois waiting for Nasara. It's probably more so those older folks who who had their money in like 401ks or something that went, under or bankrupt, or some investment fund that fucked them over, or, they made the bad investments themselves, or maybe, the more blue collar working type who never had any sort of wealth, who has this debt, and Nasara provides the perfect sort of right wing socialism, I guess. I mean, that's literally the idea behind it. It's literally the government's going to forgive any and all debt and let everyone start anew. I mean, hell, sign me up. I'm not against that. I mean, the thing is, though, is that the idea that it was going to happen and there's some bill out there that was stopped, that's untrue and it's not coming. If you wanted something like that, waiting for Nasara people, you should be voting for the socialists in office or who are trying to take office, because those are the people most likely to give it to you because that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll quickly dash in just a second. But I definitely want to encourage people watching who maybe missed that Nasara episode or haven't seen it. Go back into the Doomed Archive, check out that episode on Nasara Gassara, the film Waiting for Nasara, I think it was called,
Yes.
right? And you had an
Yep.
interview with the director.
Yep.
Go check that out. It's fantastic. Matt, before I go, if I may, I'd love to give a little plug, perhaps as maybe payment for those bonus episodes of Scam Economy I was able to contribute to.
Even if you didn't give me that stuff, please go ahead.
So about a year ago on Doomed, you had a call. You had a co-show with Mike from the Humanist Report. Now,
Right.
I called into that show, and I talked about a Japanese writer who writes for anime, who sort of went off the deep end and started posting about the Great Reset, started posting about all this sort of stuff. And then at the time, I mentioned that I was working on a YouTube video that was examining a television series, an anime that he did, and sort of comparing it to this was a series that he'd done in the late 90s, and sort of comparing it to the conspiracy sort of culture that we live in today, and examining the plot of that show. That video has since come out. I've made it.
Oh,
and it's out on YouTube.
I'm looking forward to this. Like, this is not even a plug. This is you recommending me something that I want to watch. Yeah, drop that link. Drop where we could find it. I'm gonna bookmark it right now to watch later.
So if you just search on YouTube, Serial Experiments Lane, Indoctrination, you'll find it. Failing that, if you go to my Twitter, which is just isyourguy, ISYOURGUY, it's in my pinned tweet.
Is this the one that came out 7 months ago?
Yeah. I haven't really been promoting it, so.
Yeah, you should have been. What the? Yeah, I would have watched it 7 months ago. I was like, I asked because I thought maybe I came across the wrong video. This looks really good. I'm just looking at the thumbnail. It's
long. I'm sorry, but
no. I mean, it's an hour 10 minutes. You're talking to the guy that streams for 5 hours sometimes. I assure you, it's not long.
And if you haven't seen the show, I explain sort of the key plot beats as we go through. So I've had people who haven't watched the show tell me that, like, oh, this has sort of made me want to watch it. So, and it's only 13 episodes long. You can track it down and watch it. It's not too much of a time commitment.
Who is the anime guy that this covers?
So I don't talk about him in depth. I talk about him towards the end. Okay. He does get a mention, but the name of the writer is Chiaki J. Konako.
Okay, I'm not a big anime person, but someone asked that in the chat, so maybe that means something to somebody.
Yeah, he was quite prolific. He was involved in I think Digimon Tamers. He's involved in obviously Serial Experiments Lane, a show called Technolize, a couple of other series as well. He's quite well known. Perhaps maybe not as some of the larger names out there, but he's quite popular. And yeah, his writings. You can track them down. They're in Japanese, but it's relatively easy to track down translations. He is using a lot of the dog whistles that I imagine doomed viewers will be familiar with, talking about COVID 1984 and all of that sort of stuff.
They're very clever, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll jump off so some other callers can call in. You can get to some clips.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in, as always, and maybe talk to you on Thursday.
No worries. Have a good one. Cheers.
Have a great afternoon, right? Am I right? Afternoon?
That's right. Yeah,
Wednesday
exactly.
Afternoon.
It's about 1:30 now. So
I'm always going to do it. Time zones fascinate me. I'm like a child. Have a great night.
No worries, Matt. All right. Have a good one. See you later.
Bye. All right. Once again, Doomed Live via Skype. Just type in Doomed Live. We'll take 2 or 3 more calls, maybe. Here we go. Let's take this. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Calling from Chile. Right now from my bathroom because the audio is better.
Hey, Renee. Can I bring your video up on the feed?
Yeah, of course. That's why I got into also because of the lighting.
It's a pleasure to see you, Renee, after this week of not seeing you call in. Sorry for getting a little bit loud with you earlier. It's just that I was trying to drop the
No, I didn't feel like embarrassed or anything. It was part of the course.
It was just that next time I'll just turn down the audio so you could call in, so you could be first.
Right.
But basically, I just hear that Skype thing over and over in my head as I was trying to drop the links, and it was distracting. But what would you have to talk about now that I do have you on the line?
Right. There's 2 things. Right. From the United States point of view, there's like what was that story about like Antifa being involved with bringing like arms, weapons to Children's Hospital or was it school? Seems to be out of like a defense because of all the threats happening lately.
Oh, I think it was I saw this. I gotta get. It was a regular guest of this show. Oh my God, his last name is I'm having a mental block. Stephen Manicelli. He's the one who came on for. He's the one who debated Steven Crowder on the college campus.
Okay.
He was there. If you're talking about the same one that I am,
Well, I think in any case, the situation is the same.
It was a bunch of armed Antifa counter protesters showed up to defend a drag queen story
Okay.
time or something like that. That a bunch of
Right.
right-wing protesters showed up at, and they
Because right-wing media was kind of like hyping it up, sort of like saying it was a
yeah,
sort
they
of
were
like
like they were
a
like they were
terrorist event in
yeah, they were
itself.
like, oh, armed Antifa show up at event. No, they showed up to defend the event from the right-wing provocateurs.
Especially in the context of what's been happening lately, right? All the threats and everything.
Right.
Right. And locally, well, there's on this Sunday there's going to be the plebiscite, the voting regarding our new constitution.
Oh yeah.
There have been I mean, there was like lately there was like a video, like an Arab or Iranian journalist that studied in Britain, I think in the London School of Economics or in Cambridge, that kind of like had like a guest on to talk about, because she was more familiar with the Colombian process regarding disarmament, especially with the FARC and the paramilitaries, and she was against like the whole notion of plebiscites after what happened in Brexit. But she was like unaware that we already had like the context of the president of a plebiscite already happening in 1988 with Pinochet, which led to his removal, at least as head of state, even though he still remained part of the governance as a senator.
So
And
oh no, go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you. No, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, it was, other local events is that there's like the whole difficulty with the Native American Mapuche uprising, the CAM, which because of the stepped up like reticence to have a dialogue with the government, because despite being center left, they still like remain like tied to the police force, the carabineros, which and the anti-terrorism kind of policies, because of the nature of being center left, and also that means like a major like criminal justice reform, and also they don't understand like the cultural differences with a kind of like 500 year or 400 year struggle regarding colonization and all that probably would need to have like a truth and reconciliation process on its own. But they managed to jail an important like independence leader who was more like against was more for the autonomy independence movement. He wasn't like really respecting either the current government or the ongoing constitutional process, because he's saying that still like the timber companies and all that still have like a strong grip on what happens down south. But they had bugged his calls recently, and well, two things happened. They found in the calls there's like a talking. He's kind of like a bit of an autocrat, that he kind of like brought all this, so like this like kind of like a conflict and armed struggle on his own, like kind of like trying to form like a cult of personality or something like that. Now that might sound like a bit like centrist or wishy-washy from my point of view, from seeing it from the outside. Somebody that's Native American in Oregon could say that I'm having a very nuanced and very like even right-wing point of view regarding that. But I'm just saying that he's kind of iffy. But even then, even if he's kind of iffy, that if, for instance, in the dialogue he was talking about, like he was like taking timber from the timber companies in order to eat for his personal gain and things like that. But of course, from a Native American point of view, they might say like, well, their idea of land ownership, or the whole like pre-capitalist idea of land ownership, is something that's completely distant from what a corporation or a company might call private property. And basically, even how what I consider him to be, it still like goes outside of the fact that this all is derived from the idea of not basically entering in a kind of like conversation with the native peoples beyond the constitutional process, that at the same time is being used by people, bad actors posing as the left, saying, or formerly from the center left, that have been gradually more and more right wing, saying that it's something that actually is being from the top down, and it's not actually from the will of the people, discounting the whole process. But that I see that as more propaganda from the right, trying to confuse people, especially in YouTube adverts and things like that, as you do. And there's that, and also basically within these talks and this kind of conflict, that I think it's also focused on having valid representatives and such with whom to talk and whom to dialogue in order to reach a kind of like any agreements and all that. And also there's as I wanted to talk about, was like the left itself, since it considers itself like that Russian caller you had regarding Putin and the war in Ukraine. There's the kind of like ambivalence that there is regarding colonialism once it gets into power, especially if it comes from the center left. That how it manages to be like at the top, at the hegemony, to be in power, and at the same time have to operate through legal means if it's not acquired through a revolutionary process, and how it can manage to confront these problems that within ecological problems, such as outright exploitation by the timber companies, especially in such a forest area like southern Chile, and to its extent in southern Argentina, can also be derived to other colonization and post-colonial strife and crises, as what happens with the First Nation Native Americans.
So if I'm someone in the States who wants to pay attention to what happens there, you said it was this weekend, right?
Kind of like this has happened, like it's been like 2 weeks or more.
No,
but sort of like 2 weeks. What happens is that it's been like a sort of like wiretapping, and so now the Yantul, as he's called.
No, but didn't you say something was happening? Didn't you say something was happening this weekend?
This weekend's happening the plebiscite. So all of these things are getting because
what is it called again?
Like a sort of like we had like the vote in order to create a committee, an assembly, in order to decide upon which would be the articles and laws that would be included in the Constitution. And now this Sunday we have like this coming Sunday we have like the vote in order to ratify it.
Okay, so if I'm someone here who wants to pay attention to how this turns out, what am I looking for this weekend? Like, what is the big takeaway?
Right. It's basically in the event how the right wing is going to react in the face of a defeat, and how they're going to sabotage the process. Be like the different how the media itself is going to try to retain power or some sort of like legitimacy, which is completely lost, especially after in the events of the revolt we had, like the uprising that we had, like or sort of like Arab Spring, and also I guess like the different narratives that are going on, and how can we go forward and creating like this new idea of Chile that I think would be also important for the United States. As I was like talking to other people, like this Bolivian concept of plurinationality and such, of having like different like ethnic groups, especially as important in the United States as like the African American community as well as the Native American community, to have an equal playing ground is to be recognized as like as 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 an important actors on the political and social stage, and not just like this amorphous like no it, even though it's very respectable, but this amorphous nature that they give like egalitarianism on a very liberal basic scale, shall we say.
Right.
Bolivia changed that with this kind of like a idea of leveling the playing field.
Right.
And giving like equal representation.
Right. So, how do you think it's going to turn out?
Basically, I think it's going to be a win, but I mean, anything can happen in regards to that. And basically, as a Gen Xer, that might be like a bit of suffering from a bit of PTSD regarding the past and all that.
Is your new president well liked?
Oh, that's the other thing. Well, basically, there's two things. The new president's has gone like through different phases, and basically he's trying to go on the bandwagon saying that they support this entire process. And as I usually argue, is like he's only been on this process for part of the way, and it's not like it should be tied to his figure. He's just a step in the process. I use the metaphor of like he got into the community or the communal, how do you call it, like a carpool, but we dropped him off at the corner, and now the carpool, the vehicle moves forward. He's just on for part of the ride.
Okay.
And especially, yeah, because on the right they tried to tie it in as like the vote should be also like a protest vote against him, as happened with I guess with the triumph of Trump in 2016, and with the results of Brexit and all that. So immediately, at least people like myself and from my generation basically say that no, we have to separate and avoid that being mistaken, because basically, yes, there's been a lot of people voted for the current president as like holding their nose, or you might say, and kind of like being reticent. I mean, he was like somebody who during the uprising got spit on, got water balloons thrown at him, and even worse.
Right.
And got antagonized on the street. And with these wiretappings of the Mapuche leader, the Native American leader, he kind of like commented on that aspect, that finally he was somebody like center left that was like more a hostage of like market forces, that was trying to pass off as Che Guevara, but being very like tepid in his discourse. The kind of like a rhetorical kind of metaphor that we use is being yellow, being of the color yellow, when you're just like very center and not being, and trying to be with God and the devil at the same time, sort of like being very moderate and being going any which way the wind blows, like being very opportunistic.
Right. Thanks for that update, Renee, and definitely call in next week with an update of how it went.
Okay, okay. And any observations that I see regarding the social situation? Basically, I've seen like a lot of like confusion, like kind of like a very like agitprop by the right, and very like a lot of like campaigning to confuse people, to
Right.
muddy the waters of public discourse.
Right.
Okay. See you next week.
Great call,
Wish
Renee.
me luck.
This
Wish up.
was. I know you always call in and worry how this was a very informative call, and it was very interesting. Have a great night.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised that you asked questions and let me lead on and stuff like that.
Because you
But
were
I
on
mean,
point. You
right,
you had it.
the
Sometimes
severity,
sometimes you
the
call
severity
in.
of the information was.
Sometimes you have your way of doing it is usually you call in, and because you're so well versed in it, you usually don't provide the necessary context. But this time, you walked us through every step, whether you knew about it or not. You laid it all out for everybody, and that's that's
Whether
the
I
perfect way. That's the perfect way to do it.
whether I knew about it or not, that worries me. But okay, I can accept that.
No,
I
I'm not so,
mean,
no, 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 no. I don't mean
a
you.
lot of people
What?
put in question.
No,
I mean,
no,
I
no.
even question myself. I preface that
I
in
did
my.
not say whether you, Renee, knew about it or not. The people you were speaking to, whether they knew about the issue or not, you were able to provide
Right.
the context to walk them through it. I didn't question how much you knew.
Okay, but I did myself because, of course, somebody that's more like much more like involved in like
Renee went
in
so
Native
well.
American rights.
It went so well, and now we're just taking it to another. So let's just end it on a high note. Have a great
No more
night, Renee.
kvetching. No more kvetching.
Have
Okay.
a
All
great
good.
night. Take care. Always a pleasure. All right, let's go back. Oh, the person who was just calling in just accidentally hung up, or Skype hung up on them. Let me grab this person right now. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski from Nebraska.
Hey, Kowalski. So great to hear your voice. What would you like to talk about?
Well, there's no video because there's no longer kittens.
Oh
They've
no,
all
what
been
happened?
taken back by my nieces and nephew.
I thought you were gonna give us a more doomer story. Thankfully, you did not.
Oh no, I would just lie about that.
I think, Mike, unfortunately, they've all gone to that rainbow bridge in the sky.
I suppose I can't really say they went to the farm.
Yeah, because they were already on one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was ready for some horror story, like, oh, they got out and they just happened to get in the way of my wheat or grain, whatever those things are with the twirling thing in the front.
Oh, combine.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Speaking of horrible things, though, I was curious if you have listened to the new Tim Pool song yet.
Whew, all right, here's the deal. I saw it during my vacation, and I was like, I got to sit down and listen to it. The other day, I had a minute. I went to put it on, and I got about a minute into it, and I was like, wait, the song's not going anywhere. This is, like, not my style of music at all. And I gave up on it. Now, clearly, he's one of those vocalists who sounds exactly like his talking voice when he sings. Some people might like that. Some people might not. I usually think from my own musical experience, you probably should not sound the same when you talk and when you sing. There should be some differential there. In terms of the style of music, it's not my style of music. That's what I'm sure there are people who like it. Musically, like, you know, it's not like it was like all over the place or like the instruments weren't together. Like, no, it sounded like a song in that style of music that was successfully recorded, and it was recorded well. The quality is good. What really bothered me was his tweet. Let me pull it up, actually, because you guys know me, and I am a stickler for accurately defining music in the correct genre. And he does not know what kind of music he's making. Simply put. Because
Wait, what did he think he was making?
he thought he made an emo song.
What?
It's not. Nobody who like that's the part that really like I
Kind of reminded me of The Fray.
it's
like-
it's generic radio rock. Again, people like that music. There's nothing wrong with making that music. I wouldn't make that music. I don't like that music. It's probably my least favorite style of music. I'd literally probably listen to any other genre before I purposely consumed radio rock.
Would you listen to Divorced Dad playlist before you would listen to that kind of music?
The Tim Pool song was right up your alley. But here's the tweet. It really this is the tweet that really was like, no. He said, so apparently it sold well on iTunes, which is not difficult to do anymore, honestly. I've seen the stats that it requires people to now rank on the iTunes charts, and it's quite frankly not a lot because, simply put, the vast majority of people just do not buy music anymore. They stream it and they listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever. So the number of sales you need to rank high on the Apple iTunes chart is not what it used to be. Again, it's not easy. Like I probably couldn't release a song and rank, but if you're someone who has Tim Pool's audience, convince a small percentage of that audience to buy it, maybe sell a couple thousand songs, maybe 10,000 songs, and you could rank at the top of those charts, no problem, from my understanding. But he says the success of Only Ever Wanted proves that deep down people have a yearning for powerful emo music, but the corporate globalist elite conspired to suppress it. You gotta be fucking kidding me. First of all, this is not an emo song. There's nothing emo about it. Emo is not just sad rock. It's a specific genre of music. He's confusing emo with like, I guess, a power ballad or something. But like that's not even what he made. He made like a sad nu metal song or like a sad radio rock song, probably more accurately to describe it. It's not an emo song. There's nothing emo about it. There's specifically genre-wise, it is not emo music. It is probably the most mainstream style of rock and roll you can possibly make, which again, people like that music. I'm not knocking that music, but to call literally the genre called radio rock a style of music that the corporate globalist elite conspired to suppress is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. It is literally the style of music you could hear on every alternative rock radio station in the entire country. It is the most radio sanitized style of rock and roll out there in modern music.
Yeah, I would say that like a reason it could do well on Spotify is that it sounds just like any of the other, background music that you have. I do have to say though, like stylistically, I think the song would make more sense as a country song. Just that sad boy stuff. It makes more sense as a country song, but that's just what I've seen.
I mean, it was just like I could shit on it. I'm not. But then that would be like, oh, you just don't like it because it's Tim Pool. No, nothing to do with that. If he actually said like, people are yearning for milk toast fence sitter radio rock, I would have been like, oh, okay, he knows who he is and what style of music he's playing. That's fine. But that tweet really rubbed me the wrong way because he clearly doesn't, either he purposefully is trying to get a rise out of people, which is possible, but I also think he legitimately thinks he wrote an emo song. It is definition-wise not an emo song. Listen to emo music. It is not an emo song. It is maybe pop rock you can call it, but I would more accurately describe it as radio rock.
Yeah, I see that. Shoot, I feel like there was something else I wanted to ask you. Oh, yes. I wanted to get your taste on a food pairing, and I would like to also see what your live chat thinks of this. So, as you're well aware, Sam Cedar is into apples, correct?
Sam Cedar's a big apple person. Yep.
Yes. So, I was curious, are you a person that enjoys pork chops?
I do. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had pork chops and applesauce?
I think I have. I think I have.
Okay.
And hold on, give me 1 second. Hello, Raiders from the $27 Twitch channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope the $27 Twitch stream was great. $27. Thanks for the raid. We basically earlier were talking with Rayyvana. She was the guest on the stream about Andrew Tate and the student loan forgiveness and the Republican reaction to it. And now we are in the call-in section of the show. And talking to me right now is Kowalski from Nebraska. We were just talking about the Tim Pool Radio Rock song, which he called an emo number, which it is not. And we are now talking about apparently pork chops and applesauce. So what would you like to say about that, Kowalski? Are you recommending this to me?
I am. Locally, it was never really a dish. My mom always made it that way, so I kind of just assumed that's how everyone had it. Turns out it was likely a more or less Southern-inspired dish where she was from. So I if this was something that you folks have heard of, and if people liked it. I think they pair amazingly well. So for what it's worth, give it a try. Pork chops and applesauce.
I'll have to try that. I will have to try pork chops and applesauce. I'm usually not a fan of mixing salty and sweet. Those are two very distinct flavors to me. I don't like anything that tries to do that. Sweet is a dessert. Salty is a meal. That's my view.
The best meal you will ever have, though, real Louisiana gumbo. That stuff can cure a sinus infection within 10 seconds of just sniffing it. Amazing food.
The one time I went to New Orleans, the biggest money suck was the food. Because it is so good, you buy a lot of it. And it's a lot of seafood, so it is not cheap, at least compared to my usual food intake of fast food products. But Louisiana food, very good.
There's a reason Louisiana bowed out of the Civil War, the first of all Southern states. I mean, why fight when you got that kind of food? I mean,
right, yes.
There's no point. Like, there's nothing to fight for at that point. You've got it. You made it. But all right, I'll let someone else get in. I'm sure they're itching to. But nice to see you're back, and have a good night.
Thank you, Kowalski. Great to be back and great to talk with you once again. Take care.
Bye.
Peace. I will say, speaking of seafood, in Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom in Disney, there is a restaurant called, I think it's Liberty Tavern. And they actually sell really good, for Disney, I'm sure, but really good New England clam chowder in a bread bowl. Oh my God. The combination of the two. Oh my God. I would go back just for that. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Susan from Nashville. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Susan, I can hear you. What would you like to talk about?
All right, my first thing I want to say is that I'm literally currently eating a canned gumbo soup. So that's kind of crazy.
Wow. Is it from Louisiana?
No, it's from Campbell's. It's canned. But no, I eat this stuff. I'm from Louisiana though, and have you ever had crawfish étouffée?
A what?
Sorry.
What did you say? I said a what?
No, I'm originally from Louisiana. I'm originally from the New Orleans area.
No, but what did you ask me if I tried?
Crawfish étouffée.
Hold on. Crawfish what? I'm really trying to.
Touffe. Well, I think that's how it's spelled. It might have a little French thing on it.
I've never heard of that before.
It is my favorite food in the entire universe. It
Crawfish
is
étouffée.
crawfish. Yes.
I'm typing this in now. Crawfish.
Did you just mute yourself?
Oh, did I? Hold on.
I
Something
think
just happened.
on my end it says you muted yourself.
Yes, I clicked something. Do you hear me now?
Okay, here.
I'm
yes.
sorry. I went to
Anyway,
type
that's
in.
the best one. That's the best. If you like gumbo, I mean, you'll probably. It's not really spicy in
Oh
my
my God.
in my experience, but
Oh my God, that looks
it's
delicious.
awesome. It's perfect.
That looks delicious. I love
All
anything.
right,
I love anything in a gravy. It looks like it's in a gravy of some sort.
Oh yeah. You
Oh
serve
my
it with
God.
rice, and you got that it's perfect.
Oh my God. Oh, now I'm hungry. Oh no.
Yeah, we did have the best food. But what I was really trying to call in was I wanted to talk about conspiracies and conspiracy theories, because that's what another caller was talking about.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about. Go ahead while I look at these pictures of crawfish étouffée.
Oh yeah. Yes. No, you need to get some if you haven't tried some before. It's really good if you like seafood. But anyway, so my dad has been a conspiracy theorist for my entire life. So when people talk about the rise of conspiracy theories and like what I've seen, I'm like, oh, this is just more of the same. This is everyone else is figuring out that this insane community exists. But I just thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about the history of my dad and his crazy conspiracy stuff, partially because it's fun and crazy and insane, and it's just to give an idea of what the extreme version of this could go to.
Yeah, go ahead, please. This is. I feel like you might have mentioned it to me before, but
Maybe.
yeah, but go ahead. I want to hear more. Yeah.
So, according to my mom, it sort of started with Y2K. You know, that whole. I hesitate to call it a conspiracy theory, although people added more to it during the time. But the idea that as soon as the clock turned over to the year 2000, that a lot of computer systems weren't designed to wrap back around.
Right. It was a real real issue.
That was a real concern. And
but most
people act like, oh, people were just overreacting, but there was like a whole lot of people involved to make sure that it didn't break everything.
Exactly. I was just what I was about to say. Yes, it was a very real thing. Yeah. That the reason people think, oh, it didn't happen, was because people who knew it was going to happen prepared for it, and a lot of work went into making sure that it didn't. And so by the time the year 2000, January 1st, 2000, midnight hit, minimal systems were affected because the work was done to fix the issue.
Right. So I feel like that's kind of an innocent way to kind of get into it, because it does make sense and it was an issue. But that was kind of like the gateway, because I think something about becoming a parent turned some dudes into preppers. And I say this knowing that Sam Cedar's a little bit into the prepper mindset, and I kind of appreciate that about him, because it reminds me of how my dad is. But he's like a reasonable prepper, I guess. But my dad, no, he became one of those prepper people.
I think Sam just likes. I think Sam just likes building things in his.
Yeah, he might just like canning.
Yeah, in his like upstate hideaway. So he just says, "Oh yeah, it's prepper stuff," but he just likes being a handyman. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, he was like calling it for COVID-19 though, right? Like he got ready, and I felt like one of my academic advisor, like my PI for my degree, was also ahead of the game when it came to COVID-19, and had that same kind of prepper dad mindset. And I was like, can I have some toilet paper? But anyway, so he got into all that and more of like end time stuff. Are you aware of the concept of like the biblical concept of the end times occurring and disaster striking before people get raptured up.
Yes, he was big into that. He's big into that.
As far as I can tell, is not a biblical concept, by the way.
So he's a non-religious conspiracy theorist.
Oh, he is. But I'm saying that even if, as a religious person, the concept of being of the disasters occurring before the period of whatever it's called, I don't know. But what I was going to say is, if you or anyone in the comments wanted some like actual deep dives into the end times, there's a video by Renegade Cut that talks about the Left Behind series. If you look up Renegade Cut Left Behind, he talks about how the Left Behind series kind of invented the concept that there would be, the end times. Like that whole series kind of produced that idea in people's minds, and it's a really long book series and some movies as well.
Interesting.
Anyway, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. So then 9/11 happened, and that was the big one for my dad. That was like, so if he was already kind of in the conspiracy world, 9/11 happened and the man was gone. He would like, people over to watch documentaries talking about how, all the 9/11 conspiracy theories, how it was planned, and the whole thing, the steel beams not being melted, the whole deal. And he, as I said, he would have people over. He got into anti-Abraham Lincoln stuff, so you got that whole neo-Confederacy angle.
Right. When you said anti-Abraham Lincoln, I thought like unrelated to
no.
historical
So what I'm
events.
saying is, he eventually connecting all these things together, he got into this silver dollar racket with this guy. If you look it up, called the Liberty Dollars, as a private currency. He practically went into business with this guy who wound up in federal prison. I don't know how my dad apparently was not in the non-illegal side of it, so he didn't get caught, although he was probably investigated. But it's like a whole racket of people trying to produce their own silver dollar currency.
So
sorry, I'm trying to explain
hold on. He got into crypto.
No, okay, so he does have a crypto rig downstairs. I'm so scared of him. He's so old now. He's 70 years old, and I keep being afraid someone's going to try to talk him into. If someone does some kind of that'll be the thing. The conspiracy theory laced cryptocurrency, something to merge those two concepts.
Did you listen to the QAnon crypto episode of Scam Economy?
I did, but he's not into QAnon, so that's
okay.
what he's more OG than that.
He's more what?
OG. Original.
Right. Oh, what does he think of QAnon? Does he have thoughts for it?
I don't think he's really in that sphere. He's like more he reads Lee Rockwell stuff, and the only reason why I'm bringing it, I didn't know anyone else read it until Sam brought it up in one of his things as being, the Ron Paul backer website, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember my dad reads that a lot.
Yeah, he's a major. He's not small time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I don't know. I don't know who's into the weird niche stuff my dad's into. He but like he is so. My dad was like, he upended his whole life. We moved from Louisiana to Tennessee so that we would live in closer proximity to a place where you could grow your own food. That was the entire reason for moving our entire family across the country.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. He then proceeded to get scammed out of like tens of thousands of dollars through one of these things. just an abridged version that he just constant bad decisions, all because of his conspiracy theory ideas. But it's weird, and I don't know if it's because he's just getting old or if it's getting worse, but he used to not have as many racist ideas. It was more of just conspiratorial thinking. But he did say, he always used to say things about bankers and stuff. But I didn't understand it. I was a child.
Right.
I didn't understand what he was talking about. I thought he meant bank tellers. The people working at the banks.
Right.
But no, then it started to get worse, and my mom got embarrassed by him when it started to leak out.
What is your mom's position on all this?
He is thoroughly embarrassed by my dad, and is part of she grew up, she's not Catholic now, but she grew up Catholic, and she was part of the idea of you really got to stick it out.
Ah, right.
Although I think she probably considered it, especially after the tens of thousands of dollars was stolen.
Has he admitted that he made these, at least when it comes to the scams? I mean, obviously
no. So the scam, he said, and I quote, "Maybe God didn't want us to have that money."
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Oh boy.
To kind of make this a little more relevant to more people besides just talking about crazy stories, but that he is a very sorry.
Oh, no, I didn't say
Sorry, I
anything.
thought you were talking.
No, it must have been some sort of noise. Go ahead.
Yeah, it must have been a glitch. But just that he is a very narcissistic person, and also really what's the word I'm looking for? Controlling. So like, the reason why I say that is because when COVID-19 started happening, I was like, oh, this is it. This is the quote end times that my dad, and I didn't believe this, but I thought that he might believe that COVID-19 was the end times occurring. But no, it wasn't. It was just everyone lying about it to control us yet again, to get us to take the vaccines so that we'll all be infertile and die from the vaccine or something. I don't know. He's obviously he was never going before the vaccines. He's been against vaccines the entire time.
Did you get vaccinated as a child?
Oh, of course I did. I got as soon as I possibly could.
Right. But when you were a kid, okay, that's what I was asking. Did he affect how your family was able to do these things?
I was vaccinated when I was a kid. However, I wasn't like completely vaccinated, because when I went to school in Tennessee, I needed to get some extra stuff for the meningitis. I think the meningitis vaccine. And then I had to do it again when I started going to school again in Tennessee, because my previous school lost all my records. So I was like, well, getting the double vax, that's fine. Additionally, he was completely against the HPV vaccine.
Right.
That was the big one. He was like,
that was a big one for conspiracy theorists.
People are trying to make all the women infertile, and it's just a bonus. I don't want kids anyway. So my mom got vaccinated secretly for COVID, but like I was like, she wanted it. She really wanted to be, because she's old too.
Right.
And she'd hid it for a really long time. Like, he would ask questions like, are they giving you a hard time about the vaccine? And my mom would reply, they're not. And in her mind, she's thinking, because I got it, so they're not giving me a hard time.
Oh, because he thought, okay. Like at work?
Yeah, she is a medical doctor, so she has to, she'd have to.
Wait, what? Yeah, what? What? Yeah, that seems, I mean, if he hasn't caught on to that, I mean.
My dad is a psychiatrist. He's a doctor.
That's, makes me worry, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. See, that's what I'm saying, is that he has the brain, I assume. They don't just look at medical degrees, but he has the faculties there to think about these things, but it's the conspiracy stuff that comes first. You know what I mean? It's the conspiracy first. All this other stuff comes after.
Right.
Man, but so what I'm saying is, when the COVID-19 happened, and it wasn't the end, and he wasn't saying it was the end times. I was like, at first I was like, I don't understand. This is what he's been waiting for. This is what the bunker's for. The bunker, the one with a pile of AK-47s, complete, just covered with a tarp. That
Wait,
bunker?
you have that? You have that?
Oh, yeah, that used to be a thing. They were just a bunch of covered in a tarp, and I was like, are these just guns?
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad. He's freaking he's just drunk all the time. He's not leaving the house. That's the only reason I think he hasn't had. Oh, he might have had COVID somewhat recently, but it took him an extremely long time to finally get it because he didn't leave the house.
Do you think what was I gonna say? Do you think that the alcohol played a role in this more so from the beginning, or did that come later on?
That's been a big deal more recently. That has been he retired more recently, so that's kind of why.
All right, so that's
a thing. Although I mean, it's been a minor issue the whole time, but I would say that that's not that cannot be the explanation for the whole issue. I was trying to tie it into the idea of wanting to have some semblance of control over things, like in a pandemic. No one's in control of that. That could just happen and kill you. But if there's someone who's trying to whip everyone up, make people scared, that's someone's planned that.
Right. No, yeah, that's exactly it for a lot of people who are lured in by these various different conspiracy theories. Which is before the pandemic, what was the one he was harping on?
I mean,
Like
clearly it's one. I mean, harp on is, what do you mean by harping on? Like what was
the big conspiracy theory for him? Like what took it over his time? Like what was the main focus?
It's weird because he's not a Trump supporter at all, and he's never been a Republican. He's been, libertarian ANCAP kind of stuff. I
was going to ask if he was a hippie back in the in the day.
He probably smoked a lot of weed. I don't know if that counts as being a hippie.
A little bit, depending on who he hung out with. I guess.
What I'm saying is he probably saw himself as a hippie, and maybe the hippies back then were kind of I don't know, a little bit of LARPers. But when I think of a hippie, I think of like people who have maybe a more I guess he does he's very anti-war. So that was something I do respect about my dad, that very anti-war, but in a way that's like, I mean, how people are kind of like interventionalist to a fault, and kind of have ideas about not acting with other countries. Oh yeah, but what you had asked about what he was harping on. I mean, he's all about the idea that deep state, they're the controllers, the people who are the writers. That's what I saw on the ground. This is interesting. You'll probably find this part interesting. I saw on the ground he had printed out, because he's old man, he prints out articles, but he had printed out an article that was against Alex Jones. So it was like they're the whole conspiracy theory department, they're all throwing him straight under the bus over his trial. They're thinking the trial is completely fictional. The trial, so they're all like, so they're saying, since it was televised, like, and I picked it up and I read it, and I was like,
how is he not a Trump supporter yet believes in all these Trump adjacent conspiracy theories like the deep state. Everyone's out to get Alex Jones,
all that
who's
stuff occurred. The ideas of when I say like deep state, I'm pretty sure he believes in like the Jewish cabal controlling everything from behind the scenes. So the idea about now part of it could be, I don't know if he's well connected through the internet to QAnon stuff to make the connection that some people do that, oh, he could be the guy who's trying to infiltrate, but I think he's too cynical to think there's anyone trying to infiltrate it. He would probably say that the puppeteers just elect, like the whole election stuff didn't faze him because he already thinks that every single election is predetermined.
all right.
Like
This
when I
has
went and voted, he's never voted my entire life, and he just doesn't think it matters.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess for some people, the COVID-19 stuff could be their Y2K because it is a legitimate concern that drives them in with wild explanations.
Yes. No, that's a good. No, that yes. That's it. That's a lot of it. I feel like if it wasn't 12:30 a.m., I could possibly have even more questions for you because this is really fascinating.
Oh man, I just
let's-
remembered some other aspect of it that I shouldn't get into. My dad
Okay.
did avoid taxes for literal years and then almost went to jail for it, and it was because of the idea that taxes are theft.
Yes, there's a lot of. Oh my gosh! Sorry, excuse me. Jeez, there's a lot of that in. I mean, if like you said, he's one of those like libertarian leaning type. There's been a number of people who have done that over the years, and yeah, they quickly find out that just saying you're ideologically opposed to taxes doesn't exactly work in terms of keeping you away
it was
from. Yeah.
It was really scary at the time because my mom almost went down. It was because he had told her, oh yeah, I'm doing the taxes. You know what I mean? So she didn't. So
that
she trusted him.
sucks.
She just
Right. Yeah.
I know.
He threw her under the bus too. He fucked her over with
yeah.
his own. Yeah, that sucks. Did she get in
I know.
trouble for it, or did they understand the
She
situation?
almost did. Well, they froze all of their accounts.
Right. Well,
So,
I know because if they're married, yes, the shared assets. But I'm talking about the possible jail time. Were they good looking at her too?
yeah,
or?
it was there was like the possibility, oh yeah, you're going to jail too. But
Damn.
I think that ultimately, if it had gotten that far, that there was enough to separate her from that. But yeah, so that's crazy. I know that's not usually what I call in to talk about, but I think it's funny, sad, and a little bit interesting to talk about one of the more OG conspiracy theorists and how they're different from the new ones, but also pretty much the same.
Right. Susan, this has been really fascinating, and you know, you regularly call in with fascinating conversations, but especially appreciate you sharing. You know, this is personal stuff, and it's family, and I understand how hard it could be to talk about this stuff. But I would love to you know, take it all in and talk with you some more about it at another day, because there's a lot here that's interesting. Yeah,
you sound really tired. If I call in about something else really inane, you can also say, oh, by the way, I had some more questions about that crazy story you told. So
hey, remember your dad? Let's yeah, sounds good.
No, that's fine.
Have a great night, Susan, and thanks for the call.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right, folks. Sorry to anyone who tried to call in. I am going to press pause on the calls. Dave from Jamaica said that Tim Pool's music is very generic pop rock, Nickelback type stuff. Yes. I mean, that is exactly what it is. Let me pause the calls. I'm going to hang up the Skype. Let me read the super chats. And I'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you to Aaron Landis for the super sticker. The Shiba dog laughing slightly while blushing and covering his mouth with one arm. I appreciate the support. Let's go to the super chats. Renee with the super chats. I'm going to read all of Renee's super chats. Here we go. Oi, you top G's. Enjoy the respite from debt. Isn't that called pimping people out? This is Renee talking about Andrew Tate, it seems. Claiming to be a Christian while dressed as a Jedi. He's leftovers from Dan Blazarian's plastic surgery. This is when we were talking about Splash Mountain. Song of the South animatronics. Well, yeah, the cartoon characters for Song of the South. They are in the Splash Mountain ride. And we were talking about Hall of Presidents. Renee says that's just a Michael Brooks animatronic. It's about Obama. Renee also says song versus black people getting free college tuition. I'm not sure what the reference is there for that one. Midnight Pizza Mom with the super chat. Are you saying Bugatti or Bugatti? Bugatti. Tokyo Hans with the super chat. Guess who is student loan free? Very good, Tokyo Hans. Congrats. I'm happy to hear. Donald James says, a great guest, Matt. Yes, Rayyvana was great. Night Pizza Mom with the super chat says, Matt, Clint Eastwood Binder. When I was talking about going to film school, right? I don't know about Clint Eastwood. H. Silver with the super chat. You need to relaunch ASAP, Matt. Dark winter ahead. It's needed. Yes, I if you're not already subscribed, go to misinfo.com, like misinformation. But you know how the shorthand for it, MISINFO, misinformation, shorthand for misinformation, misinfo.com. Subscribe to the newsletter. I am going to relaunch it very soon. Yes. Thank you, 8 Silver. Tokyo Han says, I love your shirt. Goosebumps is how I learned English. Yes, it was my birthday was on Tuesday while I was away. I am now an old man at 36 years old. And this was the gift from my kids. This cool Goosebumps shirt. I like it a lot. Basically, my entire wardrobe are punk band shirts, pro wrestling shirts, and horror shirts. That's the entirety of my wardrobe. Is your guy with a very Australian super chat? No content, but I know it's very Australian because YouTube is telling me that it's in Australian dollars. Thank you, is your guy. And definitely check out his that video he mentioned earlier. I did have it in front of me, but now it's lost in my sea of tabs. I'll definitely find it later to watch, but I can't find it right now to name drop again. Oh, we got a new patron during the show. Let me shout them out. They get an extra shout out too during the next week. Cheryl A, thank you so much for becoming a patron. Really appreciate the support. Again, listen, when I relaunch the newsletter, if all goes according to plan and I actually get some people to freelance and submit articles and I publish, on a regularly scheduled basis, I will eventually turn it into a paid newsletter, still giving away tons of free content, but some stuff will be paywalled. That will be separate from the Patreon. You know how you guys get both Scam Economy and Doomed? The written project, the newsletter will be separate from that. But as a thank you to my earliest patrons, basically everyone who's a patron a regular Patreon subscriber before the newsletter gets to that point where I launch a paid newsletter subscription, you'll all get a free paid subscription for being my long-term supporters. Because again, without you guys, I could not bring this show to the point where it's at. I could not bring this show to the point where I would decide to do Scam Economy. I could not bring these shows to the point where I think adding a written newsletter aspect would also be a good addition. Like, you guys make this all possible. So I will, and same if you're a long-term Twitch subscriber, same thing goes for you too. And you know what? If you're a regular YouTube live chat person, I'll see what I can do to grab you guys and give you guys that too. So again, patreon.com/MattBinder is the best way to support my work. And with that said, Samuel Tasai with 10 community gift subs. Thank you so much over on Twitch. And another thank you to $27 for the raid. Workers Wave, thank you for subscribing via Twitch Prime. Oh, and let me read Ponderosapians. They resubscribed, 8-month-long subscriber to Twitch. They also left a comment with their resubscription. Reddit gave me a free collectible avatar last night in an attempt to coax me into opening a wallet, a Reddit vault on their blockchain. So dumb, LMAO. Oh, let me save that for Thursday with Scam Economy. Let me bring that up. By the way, as of right now, this week's Scam Economy guest, well, as of right now, I say that just because we haven't recorded the episode yet. And, you know, something could always happen, but probably will go on as scheduled. Molly White will be making her grand return to Scam Economy. The creator of Web3 is Going Great, and we're going to be talking about the summer of crypto. And I'm really looking... Molly White, one of my faves. Like, you know, you guys might have realized I've had Ed Zitron on a number of times. I've had David Gerard on, Amy Castor. Molly White's been on a few times. My faves come back as often as I feel I can get them without asking them to basically co-host the show. So I'm really excited to talk to Molly White again. Easily in that top ranked guests who come on Scam Economy. Not only for, you know, how the episode turns out, but I truly enjoy talking with her. Yeah, doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show, scameconomy.com for the podcast version of that show, youtube.com/MattBinder, and twitch.tv/MattBinder for the live streams. Patreon.com/MattBinder to support this show. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, subscribe via Twitch Prime for free. Costs you nothing, makes Amazon pay me. Great way to support this show. If, you know, you feel like you don't have those extra finances to subscribe to the Patreon page. Who should I rate on Twitch as I say goodbye to you all? Who should I rate? Who's on right now? Let me check. Who's on Twitch right now that would make for a good raid? I see some of the usual people I rated are on. Amy C3, Famous Horse, The Progressive Brat, Pinko the Bear. Who's someone new? Let me give it to someone new. Who's a good who'd be a good one? Who'd be a good raid? Let's try to raid someone who's in our wheelhouse here. Someone who talks about, you know, politics and stuff like that. Frogan is someone I raid a lot too. So I want to do someone new today. Not saying I'm never going to raid these people. I'm certainly going to raid all these people again. But let's Let me check out this person. You said they're a doomed player, but maybe they're a leftist doomed player. So let's see. Let me look up their Twitch channel. Yeah, but they're just playing Doom. I don't mean anything, but I want to send my audience to somewhere where they're gonna watch and stay, because otherwise I'm not helping anyone out with the raid. Let's go. Who else? Who else are you guys recommending? All Doom players are lefties, says the person who is recommending that person to me. M3 Ganak owned 9898. Who's Skid? Skid a deer? Is that who you're talking about? Who's this person? Oh, I got an ad, so I can't even see. I've rated Luna Oi before. Again, I'm happy to do it again, but I want to do something different. I want to do someone completely new tonight. Maybe I'll do this as soon as I see Skid. The description looks good. Who is Homozy Goat? Who is this? What are they? Oh, they're watching a Rogan clip right now. This could be something my audience is into. Are they good? Homozy Goat. I'm going to do this person. Homozy Goat. I think they are doing something that my audience would appreciate. Joe Rogan reacts. Drinking race scientist tears. COVID monkeypox questions. Ask a scientist. Yeah, I'm going to do this one because I like what they're doing right now. I'll be happy to look at those other people. Rate Andrew Tate. Yeah, that's a... I'm going to do Homozy Goat tonight. And then I'll be happy to raid everyone else you mentioned at another time. All right, folks. Thanks for welcoming me back. I missed you guys my birthday week. But I got to say, I was very glad to be in Disney World and not streaming, honestly, with my kids. But I love doing this too. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't like it. I mean, honestly, you guys see how much I stream. No one streams as much as I do, while also working a full-time job that isn't streaming if they didn't like it. So there are people who stream a lot, yes, but that's their full-time job. All right, everyone. If you're on Twitch, I'm sending you to Homozy Goat. If you're not on Twitch, I will see you all next time on Doomed.